I like 7 tracks out of the entire project, right? Last week I stated that. But I am coming around on Black Magic. Lyrically, he's going off on that. I'm not going to say it's one of my favorite tracks, but I didn't like it at all before, but now it's kind of fair, right? It's solid. But like I stated from the beginning, the project I liked it. 7 out of 10, that's a great percentage. And when we're talking about their work in totality, not many people are doing that. So what more can we say? And don't let these record sales deter you, right? Because if you think about it, I think Magic 2 was supposed to debut around 27,000 first week. All right, whatever that means, right? Magic was around 30, 29. KD3 was around 30. KD2 was around 52,000. What about 50? KD1, about 47, 48. Nasir debuted over 70,000 records were sold. So my whole thing is, with this whole record sales debate and people keep equating that to success, does that mean that Nasir is better than Magic 2? Why are we so fixated on that and acting as if we're not supporting certain artists because those streaming numbers are not coming back the way we intended? We don't even know how it works. You don't. With all these streaming phones, I'm going to keep stating it. Stop focusing on record sales. Do you like the album? 1 week later, are you still playing it? If this many people are playing this record and it's all over Twitter and people talking about it, why don't the numbers reflect it? Are we saying that the supporters are liars? No, I wouldn't say that. We just don't know the metrics and how the numbers are accumulated and from which source. I was on Mass Appeal and I didn't even know that you could buy MP3s directly from Mass Appeal. Not the iTunes store. Mass Appeal. So when you have this many moving parts, how do we know how accurate these record sales are? So if you love the project, keep banging it, play it. But please stop talking about the record sales as if they matter. Because if you go through a lot of, even on Twitter, I was in this Facebook group, people were very upset about the first week sales. What'd you expect? 200,000? Those days are long gone. Who else is doing that? You got to be like Taylor Swift or somebody to do that. No one is really doing that nowadays. Support how you support. But I am noticing one thing. Many people are doubling back. They're changing their tune on their initial thoughts of the album. And that's cool. That's maturity, right? That's getting away from yourself and understanding that I may have had some expectations that could not have been reached, and went back with, a different palette, cleanse your ears, and now you're coming around. Because if you went into this project expecting like a connection to Magic 1, of course you would be disappointed. Of course. But a lot of people were changing their tune, and that's a good thing. I'm not throwing no shade at anyone. That's good. That means that you sat down and listened to it, dissecting the lyrics. Even with lyrics, like, there's no way, like I stated last week, you could even remotely begin to break down lyrics in less than 3 days, really, right? Because I went live on Saturday morning. It just had dropped on Friday. I heard some things here and there. He was going off, but I didn't catch all of those bars. And as I play it more and more, Nas is who he is, man. He is who he is. He is who he is. So once again, I'm going to keep stating this. Record sales don't mean anything, because if record sales was an indication of whether or not Nas released music or why he released music, we wouldn't have gotten the last 4 or 5 projects, because based on those numbers, most people seem to think that's a flop. But I think we need to kind of re-gauge what's considered a great first week in 2023. Nobody's going gold first week anymore. And another thing, I challenge any one of you, most albums that you love, that are near and dear to your heart, they didn't have great first week sales, but you still play them today. I mean, we're going past 25, 30 years. Most albums that you love did not have a great first week. Not all, but most that you love did not. They didn't. Just keeping it a being with you, man. Just keeping up. Also, Distant Relatives, 57,000 first week. I meant to write that down. 57,000. I love that project. That's fire. That's it. So once again, with all these moving parts, streaming, CDs, buying directly from the artist, buying from the iTunes store, Spotify, Tidal, Apple Music, YouTube, Napster, Tweezer, the list goes on and on. There's always going to be funny business with the numbers because anything can be manipulated. But when you go to the Garden in March, when you was there, was it sold out? The Nas and Wu tour, is it sold out? You go on the site, it's a lot of merch that's sold out, not even for sale anymore. Support how you support. To forget all that first week sales nonsense, because I can't even tell you the last time I looked at a Billboard chart. Billboard 100 used to mean something. Nowadays, I don't know what any of this stuff means. I don't. And he's an indie artist for the most part, you know what I'm saying? So there is no incentive for corporations to eat with him because they can't really eat off of him, right? Because they're the new custies. Also, I wanted to speak on what record was that? What this all really means. In the comment section, because I'm kind of like, that was my third or fourth best record on the project, but I'm starting to like that more than Motion. If you can choose between those two, what would it be? What it all really means? Or are you taking Motion? Put it in the comments for me. I want to see something. What it all really means or Motion? You can only have one. Which one are you taking? See what these comments looking like. What it all really means, okay. King Marcus, you said it feels rushed, quote unquote. And I think something like Nasir would be considered seeming rushed. I think this project seems as though these artists were in a great pocket, man. Just a different sound. And it's cool. You got to switch it up sometimes. You do. Because if we got the same project 5 times in a row, trust me, y'all would all be roasting him and Hit Boy. You'd be pissed off. He said what it all really means, beat is mad annoying. Really? You don't like that? I still don't like Motion. What it really is though, okay? See, I asked that because those records are kind of like polarizing in a sense. Because Bokeem Woodbine and Slow It Down, like records like that seem to be like unanimous. Most people like it. A lot of people like Office Hours as well. But like Motion is either you like it or you love it or you don't. And the same thing what this all really means. It's pure golden. We're gonna get to this chat in a minute. All right, so if I had to bet based on the statistics and what you all speaking about in here, I think Motion would take it. Really? All right. Hit this comment. Nasir sold because of the Kanye effect. 77,000 first week. His fan base brought that album mostly. It also would have sold more because a lot of Nas fans didn't support the album because of Kanye's antics. I'm rolling with that. I am. But I think the greatest thing about that comment is it shows you that record sales have many different variables. Like, for instance, if he would have had Drake on this project, right? Just using a big artist, right? Right. If it would have sold 120,000 first week, would you give Nas that credit, or would you give the credit to Drake fans for coming in for streaming that particular song X amount of times? That's what I mean with the streaming and the variables and record sales. There's so many different moving parts. We don't know what's going on. So don't let that be a metric as to what's hot and what's not. That's just what it is. To the people saying sales don't matter, how can you say Nas is the GOAT, yet his fans can only get him to sell just 16K first week? But when did the GOAT become about record sales? You see what I mean? I just gave you perfect examples about sold out shows. You got cats like Lil Durk and quite a few others, Lil Baby, who do pretty good when it comes to streaming, but they're canceling their tour because they can't sell no tickets. So if you put those two together, that variable, wouldn't that tell you that something is off with the numbers? Because I'm streaming all these albums and all these singles, but nobody's coming to the show. So who are these people who are streaming it? Yet Nas is streaming 26,000 first week, but he can sell out the Garden. Come on, fam. We got to start really thinking about this. And I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but you can stream X amount of singles, but you're struggling to sell tickets at your show. But meanwhile, we have a veteran artist who's streaming less than 30,000 his first week, or record sales first week, but his tour is a huge success, both nationwide and international. Which one would you want? Something is off. Let's keep it a bean. And if you think I'm bugging, GOAT ain't never been about sales, man. We got here. His sales are actually good. My bad. Peter Parks was good, fam. His sales are actually good. What most people don't understand is that the vinyls, tapes, and CDs don't even count until it ships. You know what? That is a fact, because I remember years ago, people would say, oh, he went platinum first week. No, he actually just shipped 1 million to stores the first week, or whatever it was. So you may be absolutely correct regarding that. And this record sales stuff, man, we can speak about this all day long, because until the artists themselves are giving concrete answers as to where the money goes and how a stream is determined, how can we take it serious? I posted a video maybe about 2 weeks ago. Snoop Dogg, probably the most recognizable figure in hip hop history. He was questioning how streaming works and where's the money and how they quantifying these numbers. If he doesn't know, who would? And that just goes to show you it's a black eye regarding the streaming stuff, man. And that's why people was finding like the little loophole when they was doing like the bundles. Remember, they were kind of like somehow incorporating streaming, tours, and merch. And that somehow was determining your record sales too, maybe about 5 to 10 years ago. And some people got called out. So we don't know. We don't know. We don't know. Peace to all of you, for real. Everybody that just came in the chat, shout out to y'all. Good morning. On Spotify, he has 11 million monthly listeners. Yes. But when you compare that to other artists, is that really a lot? Because we got to figure out who we comparing Nas to. Because if you're comparing him to a Drake who probably has over 60 million, aren't the numbers evening out with regards to streaming? But what does someone like a Lil Durk have? But once again, they can't do what he does. Outside of streaming, I mean actual support. That's why I always say support how you support. Because when you show up to those shows, you really highlight just how off-putting the numbers could be. Because ain't no way in hell we're going downward. KD2, 52,000. KD3, 30,000. Magic, 29. Magic 2, 26. But the tour is successful. Make it make sense. Get to these super checks. Shice to 30. What up, family? Magic 2 is holding up real well, my brother. They keep the God MC down, but it's not working. Pete Rock who shade about old equal timeless. Pete Rock don't shade. Pete Rock is not the only one though. We're gonna get the Shan too. We're gonna get the Shan. Shout out to Shyster, man. Day one support. I appreciate you, dog. We can speak about this stuff all day, man. But shout out to Nas, man. Magic 2, solid project. I was on Rap Roundtable this week. We spoke about it. Most people seem to like it. And I think a lot of people get uncomfortable when you say it's not an instant classic. Instant classic is something that you feel, right? I'm never trying to convince anyone to like what I like. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give you reasons why I listen to certain things and why I don't. Like a lot of people's like, yo, Ease, you missing out on Black Magic. That joint is fire. I listened to it a few times and I started to turn the corner a bit. Like, hold on, he is spitting on this. The flow may not be for me and what I like, but I'm not going to take away from what they attempted to do. So I'm going to stand firm on what I like. 7 out of 10. That is a dope project, especially nowadays. Nowadays? And that's another thing too, which is weird to me because Nas, we moved the goalposts with so many different standards. Now we're talking about record sales, right? Record sales, his first album, I don't even know what that sold, and that's considered the hip hop Bible to so many people, right? So if record sales were never his barometer to begin with, and you considered his first album to be the best album ever, why are you now expecting him to sell a bunch of records? He has sold records in his career, but what I'm saying is that he didn't come in the game as that type of artist. And now, 30 years later, he's supposed to sell all these records. We got to figure out what we want. Got to figure out what matters. Got to figure out. Magic 2 didn't sell 26 first week. It sold 26K. Okay. That would be cool. It sold 16K first week. I repeat, Ease Magic 2 sold 16K first week. Okay. That's fine. Now that you know those numbers, I'll even change that. I'll research it again. I may be 10,000 off. But even then, does it sound worse? Do you like it less? Are you not going to play it again because it didn't stream well? We got to figure it out, man. Because that joint is weird to me. We got to figure it out. And some people get so up in arms about it. You can only do what you can do. You can never get on the internet and get mad at other fans because they didn't stream the album. Because album sales aren't for you. The lyrics, the bars are for you. The music is for us. How it touches you, how it could help you improve your life, the connections you make. That merch and those tour sales will not help you and your family pay your mortgage, your car note, life insurance, nothing. Doesn't mean you shouldn't support. But if their lifestyle was dependent or heavily dependent upon record sales on how many streams that they got, and then the numbers come back and it's considered to be a failure in some people's eyes, why would they continue to do it? It just goes to show you, Nas and Hit Boy ain't really hurting over this. It's the end game. It's keeping it a bean, man. Get to some of these comments. Idle Gray, what up, fam? Illmatic first week, 59,000. Nasir was over 70,000. And keep in mind that Illmatic was well before streaming, so you had to go get a physical copy. And people absolutely use that as his Achilles heel to this day. So what y'all want? Y'all want him to sell records, or y'all want him to be that boom bap guy that y'all love that comes from an era when those type of artists didn't move a bunch of records? Which one is it? Got to figure it out. When I say y'all, I'm speaking in general. I ain't coming at no particular person, but when you, it's just a dirty game, man. We don't know how the streaming works, so don't get wrapped up in it. Compare Nas sales against any other, compare Nas sales against other 90s artists. And that's a great comment. Dang, what up, fam? And I'll add something to that. How many of those 90s artists are still putting out music? Even if he only selling 16,000 first week, how many of them can do that? Something to think about. Makes you wonder. The general consensus, nobody really cares about the record sale. I got you. And I'm in agreement. I I respect all y'all for that. KC1, great comment. Record sales isn't the money maker nowadays. Nas and Benny selling out shows throughout the world, and new artists like Lil Durk and Lil Baby can't sell any tickets. Yeah, I just spoke on that. Yeah, so, but they have great streaming numbers. It has always been this way, no matter what sector you're in with regards to business. The most successful cats are those who tap into a particular audience. You know what I'm saying? Like, once you get your supporters, a supporter may not like Magic 2, but if he puts up a show in Brooklyn, they may come to see the show because he has catalog. He's still evolving, making new music, but he said it himself. He has what, 3 primes, right? So that means he has 90s fans. You got those in the Stillmatic era. Now you have these individuals who are coming along now. That's the beauty of longevity. But I think the problem is this. The goalpost continues to be moved. You can't turn Nas into a niche artist. He is not the boom bap dude, man. And I think a lot of people silently protest and don't even listen to any of this stuff because they're not getting their way. Because they'll start bashing it before they even press play. Fam, how you talking about what the album gonna be Thursday night? It ain't even midnight. And you already mad at Hit Boy? That don't make sense to me, man. Don't go into things with the intentions of hating. You have to listen to the music, live with it. We only a week from its initial release. Only. And it seems to be the most talked about project of the year. Many have come and gone. Travis Scott dropped yesterday, right? I'll give it by Wednesday. Many people won't be talking about it. And what they're speaking about related to the album has nothing to do with the actual project. It's a jab that someone else took at another MC. That's the difference. We're talking about Nas's music, his entire album. And unfortunately, record sales seems to be something we're speaking about as well. But we're going to get it right. I'm not saying it's better overall, but in my opinion, Magic 2 is better lyrically than Magic 1. More lyrically dense. I can respect that. And you listened to it, right? I think you was on Twitter, right? You were stating how you came around after listening to it for a bit. And it takes some time, especially when we're dealing with lyrics, right? It's hard to digest lyrics in 2 or 3 days, especially when we're dealing with a prolific writers such as Nas. But when you sit with the project and you understand, especially when you love art and you love music, and like part of the challenge is trying to figure out what an artist and producer was trying to go conceptually and sonically. And once you figure it out, you can kind of enjoy a project much more. So a week later, our ears are going to be much more in tune, or we'll be more prepared to give a better analysis. What we got here? Hip hop is dead. Nas admitted this in his role and it helped him kill it. Hip hop was invented on an anti-gang culture outlet. It was never meant for mainstream or studio recording. Yeah, but unfortunately, everything turns into a business. And when you get when it becomes a business, the bottom line becomes most people are those who didn't get into it initially for the love. That becomes the main priority. And this is where we are, man. But just enjoy the entire discography that Nas and Hit Boy put together, man. It's a great time to be a fan, man, of hip hop. Just enjoy the music, man. Because like I stated before, some of my favorite artists or favorite albums will be considered bricks or going triple plastic or a straight dud first week. Now, I'm just being honest. A lot of projects that I love did not do well on Billboard. They didn't. But you can hear by just listening to it that they didn't create the album for those numbers. Everybody wants to probably sell some units to, especially at that time when that was their only avenue, take care of themselves. But you can tell someone's intentions, man. And 20, 30 years later, a lot of these projects that I love did not do well first week. So let's let that go. What we got here? Yo, y'all spitting up in this comment section, man. Billy Bars, what up, man? For those who love I would say awards and record sales and things of that nature, I can give you something to go off of. That Supreme Team documentary was recently nominated for an Emmy. Nas, I believe he directed it and was an executive producer, and Havoc was the music supervisor. So you see how music works. Like when you have your hands in different things, all right, you didn't do well the first week, but you get nominated for an Emmy for a documentary that you produced, which is pretty much based off the borough you was raised in, your hometown. That's a success. And that just goes to show you that these individuals have their hands in so many different things that first week sales stuff don't even matter, man. Ooh, this is a hot take. My goodness. The bars on Urban Magic Johnson are lazy or freestyled. And that may be my least favorite song because of how he got into that double time flow. I'm not a big fan of it, but he was spitting on that. I don't think they were freestyle. You don't like that? I thought I wasn't the only one in the thought I was in the minority regarding that. But Urban Magic Johnson, I wouldn't say it sounds freestyle or lazy. Some songs may not be for you. I'm telling you, like that flow, I'm not married to it. Like when the song first come on, first of all, I think like it's too much empty space. And then I just never made a connection. But to say that the lyrics are lazy, nah, I wouldn't say that. It's just not as good as the other records, in my estimation. That's it. See? Juxtapose it. EMJ was fire. Y'all crazy. A lot of people love that record. And some people are making a connection to the South in the sense that that would be a record that would take off there. I'm not sure if that was their strategy or not, but the whole album has something for everybody. And I think that's where they are now. They're not here to, I said it again, I'm going to say it again. He's not a niche artist. He is not here just to satisfy the needs of boom bap artists. Not interested in that. Something for everybody. TheEezeExperience was good. There are 1,000 concerts and festivals. Tickets is too high. People just don't have enough money to go around. That's valid. That's valid. Because even in NY alone, like if you think about all the artists that you love, right? All right, so you got Nas and Wu coming here in September, right? For those who love R&B, Tony is going to be live at Radio City Music Hall in September. LL is having a Rock the Bells joint in August. And then you have some people who may want to go to the Hip Hop Museum out in the Bronx. I know the Book of Hove situation is probably free, but you still got to commute to go there. So there is so many different things, or there's only so much people can actually do. 88 spins. That's a great comment because you can't do everything. Especially now with inflation, the prices are rising. People are probably not making more, but yet they have a particular interest, but you can't support everything. So you have to pick and choose. Am I going to pay this Tidal subscription for a year, or I'm going to sacrifice that money to have enough money to go to the concert at Barclays? And then you have individuals who may live places where Nas or their favorite artist may not ever come. So now they got to get on a plane, take a train, rent a car, drive to that particular city, stay in a hotel. It's so many different variables, man. It's a lot, man. That's a great comment, man. And this is perfect right here. If you just compare him to himself, you wouldn't even be upset about certain things. It's not like Nas has 16 top albums. It's not that Nas doesn't have 16 top albums on the Billboard. He did that. He did it. And I got to look at when Nostradamus debuted. I got to look at that too. And most people don't like that album. So record sales really matter? There's never been a barometer of what's hot and what's not. As an intro song, Ease, what did you like better? Ghetto Reporter, Ghetto Reporter? Hands down. Ghetto Reporter is special though, man. That's hard to compare. You can't compare those two. That's special. Yeah, I believe that. Yeah, Nostradamus does get a lot of hate. It does. It does. What? Hold on. There you go, platinum. All right. I want to get y'all take on certain things too, man, regarding Hip Hop 50, right? Because I'm a bit perplexed by it. And this all going to come. We'll bring it all together, right? Because most people seem to think that Nas is like the president of the Hip Hop 50 planning committee, which is odd to me, right? I guess because Mass Appeal is taking on the task of putting together different events. And we have some people who seem to be quite upset, man. And I originally wasn't going to speak on it, but like that MC Shan joint, I don't understand it because Hip Hop 50, right? When you put in the work, at least for me, right? This is a perfect opportunity for an individual who has a catalog to have leveraged the Hip Hop 50 campaign to your own benefit, right? So you know Hip Hop 50 was, if you know your history, you knew that this year would be 50 years. So why weren't these individuals planning tours, shows, pop-up shows, merch ideas, I don't know, an array of different things to get in contact or connect with their fans, as opposed to seeking handouts? See, it is not Nas, it's not Jay's responsibility, it is not Kanye's, it is not whatever big figure in hip hop you want to name. It is not their responsibility to hold the hands of the forefathers. They can give you opportunity, but you still have to be proactive. And I'm saying that there's a lot of bitterness in hip hop now, and especially from Shan, because it breaks my heart. Shout out to Queens, but I almost get the sense that Shan kind of envies Nas in the sense, because whether we like it or not, MC Shan is synonymous with losing the KRS-One. KRS-One kind of turned the lights out in Queens, you know what I'm saying? And when we think of Nas, we think of what? Queens poster boy. He lyrically out of here. And I think when you listen to Shan speak, he's expecting something from Esco, but then at the same time, he say, you ain't even my man like that. So why are you asking for anything? It's kind of like y'all all support me, right? Y'all come up here, we talk to each other, we engage in content and in discourse. But at the same time, that would be like me saying something crazy about you. Yo, I ain't even asked for you to be here. But no, but you are. So why would you take that for granted? If he's not your man, why are you throwing grease on his name? And what show are you referring to? Did you want to be on the Grammys? Do you want to come out at the Woo show? I think your content, speaking of Shan, his particular discography would be more aligned with an LL Rock the Bell show, right? That should be your focus. But I'm telling you, these cats did not think it through. Hip Hop 50 wasn't something that they seemed or thought would be, or something that they could leverage in their own estimation, or independently, or even think about it. They didn't think about anything. They just want handouts. And it's weird. And it also highlights the fact that hip hop needs a retirement plan desperately. Desperately. And how that never happened is astonishing to me. Because as much as these cats say what they feel, or they're out, I can't even speak. I'm getting so, I don't understand it. As much as they state if they're not upset over money, it always comes back to it. So dental, vision, and healthcare should be something that someone should be thinking of regarding these legends, because I don't think it's so much about wanting to do a show. I think it's more about getting some monetary gains from a show. And we're in a whole different world, and a lot of these cats don't have the education behind it, or they don't even have, their spirits aren't humble enough to even pick up a phone and say, yo, I need help. Because Nas could be a resource to Shan. He shouts you out on how many records back when you was just shouted out on Magic 2. You're from the same PJs, you know what I'm saying? Like, I know he has an affinity for you. He looks up to you. I've seen him in interviews speak highly of you. So why not just reach out? But that's what happens in this world when you're entitled and you think people owe you something. He's supposed to miraculously know that you are struggling or you need a show. Like he don't have a million other things going on. Everything is about you. And it's sad to see legends going out that way. So if he ain't your man like that, you shouldn't get on the internet and throw grease on somebody who's not your man, because there should be no expectations. That's just my assessment, man. That joint is played out. You ain't tired of that? From that to Pete Rock and yo, let's be men. Nobody communicate about anything. First thing you do is pick up the phone and start bugging out. And it's premeditated because you're recording it. You literally picked up the phone and said, yo, I'm about to record this. And contradict yourself throughout the entire joint. Such and such booked me for a show. I said, nah, I wasn't right. And you got the money right. So if it's about money, stop seeking handouts and get with some of these young, successful businessmen and ask them how they have sustained themselves for all this time. Because if you was in your right mind, or if you were on the same page, or if you were grateful in any capacity, when Nas was at the Garden and he brought out Slick Rick, why wouldn't he have brought you out? Because you probably would have turned that into something. Yo, he ain't even pay me, but he brought you out in the Garden. You got to figure out a win within your own situation, man. That's it. Shan, you're bugging, man. Shout out to the OGs, but it don't look good. And the young cats looking at this like, this how y'all behave? You want me to be mature? This how y'all moving out here? It looks crazy. It does. There's no way that this man doesn't have direct access to Nas. It got to be someone he can get in contact with. It got to be. But craziness, man. Rakim and Cool G did more to help Nas in his early days to build his career than Shan. Now he wants a handout. Nas owes him nothing. And I agree with that too. But even with that being said, I believe that he would help him out. And that's the part that's baffling to me. You acting as if he said no to you or something like that. I highly doubt that, man. And he's speaking about shows. What show is he talking about? Is he like just going on Ticketmaster.com and seeing what hip hop shows are going on and automatically assuming that Mass Appeal or Nas has something to do with it? You should be on a Rock the Bells festival or concert. That's your core audience, MC Shan. That's where they'll be. Not at the Nas and Wu show. They won't probably be there, but they'll be at a Rock the Bells concert. That's where they'll be. Yankee Stadium show. Who gonna be there? But is that a Mass Appeal show? Everything hip hop. I don't think Nas and Mass Appeal copyrighted or they own the rights to Hip Hop 50. There may be an array of different shows going on. Is a Mass Appeal Yankee Stadium show? That's crazy. Massive. So who's on the show? I gotta look it up. So he feels he should be on that show. I'm gonna look up the roster right now, because he may have a point, but that don't mean it's the way you go about doing it. All you gotta do is make a phone call. Yeah, I want to be on this show. How can I go about doing this? And now you put yourself in a position to where I don't even think you would get booked. Why would they? August 11th. That's the one y'all talking about? Ice Cube. I'm trying to look at some of y'all putting the names in here. Ice Cube, Snoop, Wayne, Run DMC. See, even with that, does he really fit that show? Just from the names I'm seeing, Ice Cube, Snoop, Wayne, Run DMC. Maybe, but Run DMC, even then, is kind of separation between those two fan bases. He may be able to get his joint off. Nah, I don't like that show for Shan. I gotta look the rest of the roster, but I think he should be on the Rock the Bells. He should be with like Busy B and Cool Mo D, and like he should be with that roster. It's okay to. We at a point with hip hop to where we have different eras. Link up with them. Go on the world tour. But something tells me that his pride and ego won't allow him to do that because he still think that he's that guy. Look at the way you speaking. Talking reckless and crazy about people on the internet, man. It's a digital footprint, man. Shan is using Nas for clout. But he's doing it the wrong way. You should be using this situation as leverage, man. I agree with you saying, but he should be. I don't understand it, man. That's bad business. You dealing with individuals who have power now. They can kind of like, if they wanted to, blackball you, and they'll be within reason the way you acting. A lot of these cats, relationships are everything, man. As I get older, I realize that, man. Like a lot of cats that are very good at, they have the talent, but when things don't go their way, they just fizzle out, fall apart, man. This is not looking good. That would be good. KRS-One and Shan should tour, but sometimes it comes across that he's still bitter about the battle. I think he's if you look at some of his interviews when he speaks about that situation, he comes across as a person who's never gotten over that. Because post-battle with KRS-One and BDP, did Shan really have a hit? I'm not trying to be funny. If I'm wrong, let me know. Because we're all gonna learn from each other up in here. But post BDP battle, and I know I wasn't bugging. Shan still beefing with KRS after KRS tried to squash it. KRS just Shan again on a song in like 2015. Yo, that's crazy. Nah, if that's true, you gotta let that go, man. Y'all gotta let that go. And this is all I'm trying to say. This is a profound statement. Closed mouth don't get fed. Shan should have networked the people, to get on those old school shows. But we got to ask ourselves, how many bridges if he probably burned, no pun intended, throughout his career? Because look how he's lashing out. I don't understand it, man. Yeah, Juice Crew Law was fire. Okay. Shan was never the same after the bridge is over. That's a long time ago, man. Let that go. Yo, he said KRS-One did Shan in 2015. Yo, man. Hip hop, man. Yeah. But all in all, man, you're Shan. Shout out to you, man. You are a legend. But you got to do better, man. And I'm not here to be no Nas apologist because ain't no man on this planet perfect. A lot of people do funny, underhanded things. It just happens, man. Sometimes it's intentional, sometimes it's not. But when you lash out not knowing someone's intentions and instead of picking up the phone, communicating, especially when it's something that you want, it's obvious that you want to perform. It's obvious that you want to bag. And this ain't the way you go about it. You let your ego, your pride get in the way and you try to act as if you had it when in fact that you need it. And now look, It's on every site I can think of, and people, and very few people are really agreeing with the antics. It's crazy. And I agree. He probably does have a little bit in this towards Marley Marl too. Shan got to do better. Nas definitely shouted Shan out on quite a few records. He has. He's been on interviews on network television and mentioned MC Shan. How could you not leverage that? How could you not chop up that clip, put it on your IG or something, and or I don't know, send it to promoters and leverage that? Because everybody may not know who you are, but if you put a face with the name that is being mentioned by a hip hop icon, and then you connect it to one of your songs, and then you tell a story how you both grew up in the same hood, and how could you not be successful? How could you not have shows? No, because you think that someone else is supposed to do all the work, supposed to pick up the phone, think of you, call you, offer you the correct amount of money, and you just show up. It's not good. Entitlement, ladies and gentlemen, that joint is trash. Don't ever assume somebody owes you something. You got to earn it out here. Reciprocate. That's craziness. And I respect my elders, but I ain't ever going for that. That's nonsense, man. Because you got youngins looking at that, thinking that that's okay or that's the way to behave. I'm pretty sure he has children or probably even grandkids. That's how you acting, son? Look ridiculous. Like I said it before, Idle Greg, negative stories about Esco get more traction than the positive stuff. Yes, negative Nas news gets a lot of clicks on the internet, man. It does. If you ever go down the joint, his name alone, man, for people always saying that his relevancy and all this other stuff, no one gets more traction when it comes to this hip hop joint and numbers than Esco. Because he's current, he's a legacy artist who's still outside moving. But it doesn't look, he's not moving in a way where it seems dated. He's still today, still has a catalog, has 3 different primes. It's different, man. And when you are a pioneer, like I stated, people really don't understand or haven't figured out how to deal with it. First Boo on Wolf for the Children describes Shan's behavior perfectly. Ladies and gentlemen, go pull it up. Entitlement, man. Keith Murray and Shan should do an album. Imagine they both should go on tour and stop acting like it's ridiculous, man. Somebody got to call it out, though. It looks crazy. It does. It does. It does. Ninja's your grandfather age and they hate because they say you didn't pay dues or don't pay dues. We got to do better, man. When I say we, because it's a hip hop community, right? So you want to see everybody win, everybody eat. But this whole hip hop 50 situation it has people losing their minds. Is whack. Is whack. Not the hip hop 50 situation. Humble bragger, what up? Just the entitlement that came along with it. For all those people that act like award shows and stuff, they always say that, right? But the only reason that some of them are acting out is because they didn't get their name or number called to come on the show, or they didn't have enough time on the show. Think about some of the old artists who were mad about hip hop 50 situations. Either they didn't get a call or their pride got in the way. So they just start shading and acting funny, man. What are you referring to? It? The needle drop gave Magic 2 a light 6. He also gave Life is Good a light 4. The needle, yeah. In the comment section, how many? Yes or no? Do you look at the needle drops reviews? Yes or no? Very quickly. Let me see. The needle drop. That's a YouTube channel. Individual just breaks down artists. It's been around for a while too. Yes or no? Did you watch the Needle Drops reviews on YouTube? No. Yeah, Willie D was bugging too. Him and Scarface got into it. No. Come on, man. Y'all be noticing everything, man. Some rap pioneers, them crackheads when they speak. She missing teeth. Sometimes only for newer artists. Because he seems to be knowledgeable, but a lot of people veer off sometimes and they'll start pandering to a particular audience that's going to make the numbers run up. And I mean in the sense that even their opinions will change. They won't. A lot of people get on these cameras and the mic, they're not always honest about what they feel. They typically say what's going to get the most traction. That's not good, though. Here we go. Black Magic and Urban Magic Johnson grew on me. This album knocks in the whip, man. It does. I think that's the best experience I had with the album. I think I said that last week, right? Like, I was listening to it in the headphones. First of all, it's hard to listen to an album first time around at midnight when you're kind of tired, you had a long day, but you stayed up anyway to listen to it. I know a lot of us did that. A lot of us, unless you work overnight or something like that. A lot of us were probably up all day, worked, and then when the joint finally came on or came out, you press play. Fatigued ears, not catching everything. So I played it twice, I believe, in my headphones. Once I got in the car, I was like, oh yeah, all right. And we're here now. My favorite records, because my two least favorite records happen to be the ones that Humble Bragger loves, which is Urban Magic Johnson and I think Black Magic. But Black Magic, I'm kind of like turning the corner on it, but it won't ever reach the point or the same place where I place Slow It Down. That's not happening. But solid project. It's another solid project. And when I say solid, that doesn't mean that it's bad. That's a good, solid project. And when you compare it to someone else's, this would probably be top 3 albums in their discography. But when you're dealing with someone who's prolific and who has stood the test of time, he's fighting a different battle. So people will always compare him against himself. But not many people have this in their discography. That's a great comment right here. These nerds don't know Esco story, so Life is Good wouldn't resonate with them. A lot of these cats don't know any history related to hip hop. If you listen to a lot of commentary on this platform or some of these writers, a lot of it be so surface level. And when you go to the comments or the chat, that's where the real history is taking place. You know what I'm saying? Your audience, because you bouncing ideas with like-minded individuals, and now you're learning, and take away from that, now you go down a rabbit hole. But when you become one of these dudes on the mic who just spews out surface level stuff, or you think you know everything, nah, that's not the move. And a lot of cats be coming across like that, man. Like, hip-hop shouldn't be like that. This is history. It's not just music. I'm gonna keep saying it. This is history. We want to make sure that the facts are being told. Now, whether we debate about who's the best, we can always do that. You can always be able to debate anything, but certain things are just fact. Certain things are just fact. Yeah, we're speaking about videos in here as well. Yeah. Nas and Hit Boy. That's something else that will probably help record sales. They actually did visuals. But it's the beauty of knowing that you can do what you want to do, how you want to do it, when you want to do it. And the outcome, you okay with it because you built yourself up in such a way to where this is probably not your main source. So they just having fun. It's kind of like being able to go to your job every day and do what you want to do and how you want to do it, because guess what? I don't need it. And they're just proving in real time what that looks like. That's what they're proving. They're just having fun. And a lot of us probably can't relate to that because we're not in that position. Dang, he was spazzing on Black Magic. Lyrically, yes, he was getting busy. Black Magic is what, track 3 or 4? Because I always get off when I start trying to involve that intro. Black Magic is 4, right? It's after Office Hours. But lyrically, because sometimes I feel like I'll be repeating to a lot too. Like, does Nas ever really let you down lyrically? Not to say that he didn't have some verses that you didn't like, but it never feels like he melds it in. Sometimes we just gotta, maybe 1 or 2 lines in there that change your life. Just gotta sit with it. And I'm even speaking to myself, right? Even Urban Magic Johnson. It may be something in that song that can change my life, but I just got to listen to it quite a few times, not just automatically say, I don't like it. It's crazy. Every time I listen to Magic 2, I have a different favorite track. Today is Urban Magic Johnson. A lot of people like this record, man. Maybe you should do a video. Vanguardian TV, good morning, brother. On Black Magic, he tells 2 different stories from 2 different women perspectives. Genius. Wow. I'm gonna go listen to it some more, man. Black Magic and Urban Magic Johnson. Like I stated before, I don't think that it's ever gonna catch Slow It Down for me. But that you always got that one record on the album to where that's it. Got him. The worst bar on the project is to get you jammed like toast. Then he instantly redeems himself with the "We don't smell your smoke. You should try a different approach." Esco, as fans, right? Because I know a lot of people probably seen that. What is it, Masterclass, right? I know Adriel Green had put me onto that. Do you think that his writing process as a listener or a supporter, do you think that he writes his lyrics to this day, or do you think that he kind of does not the freestyle thing, but like, I'm gonna record 2 lines, listen to it, play it back, and record 2 more, and you keep building and building and building? What's your take on that? Obviously, we'll never know, but if you've been with him since day one and you've been listening to his music, have you noticed any change when it comes to writing? And if so, what do you think he's doing at this present moment? Is it the 2-line punching or 1-line punching, or is he writing everything out? Because writers going to be writers, right? Individuals, like when you are an avid reader, and like I remember I was in an interview where Bumpy Knuckles, Freddie Fox, was speaking about how he went to Nas crib, and he had just had books everywhere, and books of rhymes. Like sometimes as people journal, I think that's the perfect way of putting it, right? Like we may look at it as a book of rhymes and all of that, but that may be his way of journaling, right? So it's something different about writing pen to pad as opposed to typing it into your notes pad, your note app on your phone. You know what I'm saying? So when it comes to Nas, like you never really know, but I've always been intrigued by his writing process. You know what I'm saying? He writes on his phone. You can see him reading from his phone while recording Office Hours in the studio. Great point. Whether it's in the phone or not, right? I'm just intrigued to know that Cats is still writing, right? Because remember, we was getting away from ourselves and everybody was saying they going in the booth and it's off the top. And it's like, nah, I hated that was when that was a flex. Like, all right, some people can get away with that, but nobody's writing. And then you start to hear the difference when that era was here and people were saying how they don't write their rhymes. You seen a decline. Everybody can't do what the next man does. You may need a pen and a pad to make your music that much better. I missed out on the comment. What we got? James. Here we go. They say Nas don't use entendres, but he used. a great one on Black Magic with use of Jackson 5. They always say Nas don't do something, right? That's weird, right? How they always move. He can't flow. He can't do this. Choose bad beats. He just keep checking it off. For Black Magic, a lot, yo. If you can choose one single, I know it's a bad. We'll use that because people say Nas doesn't get radio play. If you can choose one single, you're the A&R at Mass Appeal. You got to choose one record to go on the radio in New York, because obviously that goes by region. In New York, which record are you selecting? Put it in the chat. You're the A&R. Which record is going to radio? Oh, Magic 2. In the tri-state area. I knew it was going to come down. Oh, okay. See a dark horse in here already. Motion. For me, for radio, I'll probably go Office Hours. That's just me though. But I'm starting to see. Here we go. Don, what up? Slow it. It's a lot. I'm noticing Motion, Slow It Down, and Office Hours. I think Motion is probably going to take this W. The question is whether or not we're going to get podcast video doesn't even matter, but Bokeem Woodbine got that bounce. The flow on Office Hours, elite New York spit. Darwin, what up, man? Good morning. Shout out to you. Play Bokeem Woodbine around Labor Day. Look at this A&R right here. Yeah. Nah, that's fire though. That's yeah. But that sample, yeah, you're right. That's a great idea right there, man. See what I mean? How the chat in the comment section, historians, they put 1 and 2 together. Motion to cinematic. I love the EMJ hook. Yeah, I would probably, that's just my NY bias though, for lack of a better term. I'd probably go Office Hours. But that alone, that aside, I would probably, yeah, Motion probably makes the most sense. Because of the tempo is up. But I don't think there's a bad choice. Because there's something for everybody on this album. So depending on different regions, you can, like, I don't know, Urban Magic Johnson probably can be a Southern record. Bokeem Woodbine would be rocked in the tunnel in the late 90s, early 2000s. That's a joint right there, man. I was highly impressed with the use of that sample. Hit has an ear. You can say what you want to say. He's good at meshing sounds. Son is nice, man. Mike Nice, what up, dog? Motion to cinematic. That's a great comment. Play Bokeem Woodbine around Labor Day. Nah, that's fire. Eastern Parkway. That's good. I did a poll about this too. It's another question I have for y'all, man. What is the best, if you can choose one verse? Obviously, it's only a week. I'm talking about as of today. Last week may have been different. One verse to introduce a Magic to a fan who's unfamiliar with it. What is the song and verse that you're selecting? Fan hasn't heard it, introducing, and you have to choose one song and one verse. Which one is it? Oh, Magic 2. Bokeem Woodbine didn't resonate at first, but grew to me third. Listen, man, I felt the same way early on. I wasn't really down on it, but then I was like, I got into the production, like, hold up. And the hook is fire. I love when Nas hooks kind of feel like they could be verses. That's an art that a lot of people can't do that. Like something like, easy choice. Like I gave you power. How that hook feels like it could be somebody else's verse, part of a verse. Like I love how he does that, and you can have a transition between the hook and the verse, so you can make the distinction. But I love when he does that, man. Second verse. Hold on. Slow it down. Yo, office hours is yo, he was bugging on that, right? Like go back and listen to, I mean, like zone out, make sure nobody's around you. Go in the car, turn it all the way up, or put the headphones and max the volume out. Yo, he was blacking on office hours. Like slow it down. He was like kind of talking to you, right? Like just dropping jewels. Slow it down. It was like office hours felt like he was in bully mode. Second verse on Motion is crazy. Yo. I think about the beat on Office Hours. You like it? Listen, while I was at work, this album is fire by the one and only Nasir Jones. Listen, I've been playing it a lot, man. And you know what's crazy too? Like my thing is like how I clear my palate is that I'll listen to an album and then I'll go back and probably listen to a classic album or just to kind of get away, something totally different to get away from it. And when you play it next to certain albums, it still sounds great, man. Even if, no matter how timeless that other particular album may be, like Nas has a way of making music, man. I think that's the best way to put it, right? Like he's great at making music. And it's like organically, he's able to give something for everyone. Or provide it, write it. Office Hours is a perfect record. 1 week later, how you feeling about 50s on Office Hours? I like it a little bit more, man. Although he probably talked for more bars than he rapped, I think it was effective. I think he did exactly what they were expecting him to do. Although I may not like the mix, it sounds like they was in two different environments. It doesn't sound like a 50 mix when he was linked with Aftermath. You know what I'm saying? It don't have that quality, but I like it. TheEeze's album Super Fire, Fortune's favorite bowl. We were speaking about this a little bit last week. But probably next week we'll go into like TheEeze because like TheEeze is an interesting artist, man, and I respect what he's doing. He drops consistently, works with different producers, but he's figured out a formula that works for him, and he's sticking to it. Because obviously it must be working in his favor in some capacity. Listen, man, this is a great comment. And we were just speaking about how certain albums come and then by Wednesday of the next week, it's gone. When you compare Nas to other artists, you can't really say he takes an L. Put Nas Magic 2 next to Utopia. That happens to be Travis Scott's album, ladies and gentlemen. And it wins easy. Comments like that highlight the double standards and how we judge people. Because everybody is not considered or needs to put out a classic every time around. Y'all cool with taking 2 or 3 joints and considering that project to be fire. Some individuals got to have 12 tracks and all 12 be heat. Now, it's definitely a couple joints on there. But the thing is, that's what I mean. Like, even if it drags in certain places, certain people are going to get that pass. Other artists, you're not allowed to have any low points, you know? If you do, it's considered to be trash. Trying to keep up with the comments. My bad. Hold up. Who here? 50 don't rap no more. He played the role perfectly, giving Nas homage. I respect that. Yeah, he did. He did classic 50 mixtape joint, right? Talk crazy at the end, but he seems happy. You know what I'm saying? Seems to be in a good space, and I think he brought that energy that was needed. 50 verse, so sure that it sounds awkward, like he got tired in the middle of it. Yeah, that's crazy. Trying to say my man. Shout out to Curtis Jackson, man. Queens. Yeah, I would have probably we went live that Wednesday before the album dropped, and I said how I wasn't really seeking a song from them. I just wanted them to black out lyrically. And although we got a joint in song format, it's kind of like Nas kind of checked that box off because he went crazy. TheEeze's got some commercialized ish on this project. Book of David didn't. Was indie also. That was a project before TheEeze. How many projects TheEeze dropped in the last 3 or 4 years? And this is the thing too, like with a TheEeze, it becomes hard to gauge what do you consider albums, on, you know what I'm saying? Because he drops so frequently. Are they just, what do we term them? Projects? Are we considering them official releases? Because if we're talking about consistency and output, TheEeze stay working. He stays working. Still looking for jungle. I missed the comment everyone's replying to. I wanted to highlight it. Lyrically and sonically, Magic 2 might be his best album since Life is Good. Life is Good is what, 2012? 2013 is around there, right? So after that, that's after Untitled, right? So then we'll have Nazir. We have the kid. I don't know. I can't really argue with that. As far as lyrically, some people may say Katie 3, but I haven't dissected all the lyrics on Magic 2, but I wouldn't be one to say that you're wrong. It was after Distant Relatives? Okay. That's another thing, too. It's like people, Nas been dropping a lot, man. Like, look at that man discography. Because if you don't go under compilation, sometimes you won't even realize that he's had much more work than the solo joints. But Adriel had a comment, quite a few. I'm going to get to these comments. Peter Rosenberg said on his show that all Jay had to do each album at this point is have at least 2 bangers. He did say that on Hot 97. They was arguing over Ether and Takeover. You are absolutely correct, sir. He can perform in a concert set list. Shaking my head. Nas is waiting on a different scale. Yes, he did. He said you can take 2 or 3 records at this point in his career and just add them to the set list. So in other words, even if the album is trash, if we just get 3 records, it's a success. Esco should be held to that same standard. Rosenberg definitely said that, and he was getting emotional too. He was getting emotional. But those are the same dudes that kind of fronted on Magic when it first came out, right? I think him and Symph. I agree. I don't even think. Yes, absolutely. Life is Good is a different type of. That's like the first adult contemporary album, right? It was like the first album when you felt like. Think about it. You watch. It's almost like you watch the dude grow up, right? And now you go from Illmatic to then you get a Life is Good, and that's kind of like a slap in the face in a good way. Like, wow, this dude. We all grew up together. Went from the street poet, park benches, and being privy to the environment with cats wilding out to what we talking about marriage and post marriage and having a daughter and like crazy. I haven't done that in a while. I'm gonna have to do my top 5 Nas albums. I'm gonna have to, because that's gonna take some time. It's hard because you have connections to so many records. It's like when you get to that 4 and 5, depending on the day, like it's easy to swap them out. And life is good. Like when you go back and listen, like records I wouldn't say I didn't appreciate, but they weren't in my top 5 at the time when it came out. Like The World Is an Addiction. Like it's something about that record, man. Crazy. Yo, life lesson, right? Like he did in a good way. He did in a very mature, like, but it was also an opportunity for other young ladies to learn too, right? Like it, like only he could do, right? Like that writing, how he approached it was crazy. That was fire. Shout out to No ID. That was a fire beat too. Video was fire too. Good times, good times. The last verse on The World's an Addiction was a movie. Yo, man. He was, yo. Shout out to Salam Remy too. The production on that. When he get into that orchestra bag, beautiful, man. Life is good. Whoever brought that album up in the chat, shout out to you. I'm gonna go listen to that today as well. Because one thing about good music, if you remove yourself from it for a little bit, you may have missed something. Come back to it. Many lessons, man. My favorite record would happen probably be on that album. Is it considered a bonus track? I gotta look it up. What does a bonus track mean nowadays anyway? At the time, it probably was yeah, it was a bonus track at the time. Where's the love? Where's the love, man? The hop on those drums, that last verse, he was going crazy. Queen Story is fire too. I always thought that Large Professor did that beat. Trust was fire. Yo, life is good. Listen, in the chat, yes or no? Yes or no? And we're gonna count the deluxe, right? Yes or no? Is Life is Good a top 5 Nas? No, it's easy to say top 5. Is Life is Good a top 4 Nas album? Yes or no? Is Life is Good a top 4 Nas album? Yo, that's crazy. Emphatically no. We got a yes. No, but top 10 for sure. No Godson is better. Okay. Now we're going to tweak it up a little bit. Is Life is Good a top 5 Nas project? Because just that one slot can change everything. And that just goes to show you how great the discography is. Because it may not make the top 4, but in some people's top 5 is there. Seven? Some people say 7. Nah, somebody trolling. Top 15. It was written. Illmatic. I know people who like Life is Good over Stillmatic. Stillmatic is like has higher highs, obviously, because that was like his highlight reel. Man, okay. Better album, Stillmatic or Life is Good? I'm just trying to gauge something. Stillmatic. I still listen to Stillmatic. Stillmatic easily? I guess it depends on where you are in life too, right? Like that Life is Good album. Illmatic, Stillmatic, It Was Written, KD3, Life is Good. That's your 5. All right. I agree with this take here. Life is Good is more complete, but Stillmatic has higher highs. Yeah, Stillmatic, like, yeah, that's why I say it's like a highlight tape. He's just like, whatever y'all want me to do, let's do it. And I'm gonna do it the greatest. Because Life is Good is like, I just feel like when you ask people where it belongs in discography, that's one of those albums where some people have it ranked very high, and then you have someone have it like at number 8. And I've always wondered why. Life is Good. It's dope, but Untitled is better. Untitled just had its 15-year anniversary too. I mean, just what goes around was his best mic performance, spitting like there was no tomorrow on it. Salam Remy, ladies and gentlemen. Y'all keep talking that primo talk, but Salam Remy. Life is Good has some skips that bring it down for me. Mike H, what up, man? If you can, in the comments, just like name 2 skips on that album. Not to say you right or wrong. I just want to know. I'm always interested in how people like experience music. Because I'm in the same boat, right? Like when some people love Urban Magic Johnson, it may not be my favorite joint on it, but then they tell you why. And you're like, oh, okay, I understand that. Because I'm looking at the track list of Life is Good right now. No introduction. I love that intro. Shout out to the Justice League. Locomotive, Queen's Story, Accidental Murderers, Daughters. Reach out. Maybe one of probably when we talking like concert Nas. Reach Out is like, that's an anthem, man. World's an Addiction. Some on Smash is the skip. Mike H, I already know that's gonna be one of them. You Wouldn't Understand, that's fire. Back When, The Dawn, Stay, Cherry Wine, Bye Baby, Nasty, Black Bond, Roses, Where's the Love? Yo, Life is Good is phenomenal. I thought I was in the minority when I used to state this. And I feel this. Where is that comment? Oh, man. Here it is. I love the song, but I didn't like his verse either. Somebody else should have had that slot. You not from the culture if you skip Reach Out. Yo, Reach Out, man. Yo, that's my joint, man. I don't know why. It just got, I don't know how he just meshed up so many different feelings or music within one. And it feels organic. The Dawn, you don't like The Dawn? Cherry Wine is trash? Nah. I like that record. You don't like that? First of all, the drums, the melody. You don't like that? Stay is. Life is Good. Run those numbers up, man. Mike H, you my man. What's going? Nah, come on, go. Nah, you got to change this, man. You skip Worlds and Addiction. Oh. Nah, that joint is fire. And Accidental Murder, yeah. Rick Ross took away from that song for sure. I don't know who. I had someone in mind that should have been on that record. It's not coming to me right now, but I didn't like Rick Ross on that record at all. So I'm on Smash, and I'm skipping that every time. I don't care where I'm at. If I'm at your crib and they come on, I'm turning it off, man. I hate that record. And hate is a strong word, but I just feel like that record did not belong on that album. It almost felt like an intermission break, right? Like, all right, we're going to give y'all something and come on back and make sure you press play on You Wouldn't Understand. Distant Relatives. Yeah, that's my joint. This is the one right here. Look at these A&Rs in here. This is the one right here. That would have been perfect. Because something was lacking from that Ross verse. I guess it was the content alone. Like, it just felt like it didn't fit the song. It would have been decent probably on another record, but nah, Black Thought on Accidental Murderer would have been dope. I'm rolling with that. Wow. And that's the problem. He didn't stick to the subject. All right, this is the one. Well, Born Gifted. I'm going to put it up here, but ladies and gentlemen, which one you selecting? I'm going to put mine in there. We're taking Lost Tapes, but Lost Tapes 1 versus Life is Good. AZ instead of Ross would have been fired. Yeah, that would have been nice on there. Yeah, I didn't like that Ross feature. Yeah, Lost Tapes seems to be near and dear to a lot of people. Lost Tapes is peak Nas. Yeah, man. Yes. I'm gonna keep saying it. Make sure everybody get their flowers. Shout out to LES, man. Shout out to the Track Masters. Plays at 50. Yo, I love y'all killing the chat right now. And this is a great question, man. I'm letting y'all gonna shine today. Here we go. Don't answer too quickly. Here we go. Summer on Smash or Braveheart Party? Which one y'all taking? Summer on Smash or Braveheart Party? Which one y'all taking? Comments. What we doing? Summer on Smash or Braveheart Party? I'm taking Braveheart Party. That's just me. Yo, Braveheart Party is cheeks, yo. Word. You know what? Nah. Braveheart Party was bad. You know what? That was the worst contribution to Summer on Smash. You know what? Because I remember listening to the original CD of Illmatic, and that came on. I'm like, what is this? You're right. Braveheart Party was terrible. And Swiss Beats did both of those records. No more collabs from y'all. No more. And we're going to say it again. We got to keep repeating the same things because a lot of people probably don't know the history. Echo is not a Swiss Beats record. DJ Scratch produced it. He made his contribution, not taking that away from him, but the production is DJ Scratch. Man, Swiss did No Bad Energy, but A-Rap Music has something to do with that as well, too. Nah, we ain't giving Swiss Echo. That's DJ Scratch, man. Braveheart Party was to reintroduce Bravehearts again. I always got the sense that Bravehearts never wanted to rhyme, man. I think that's something Nas is forcing on them. Jungle as an MC came and went. I don't think he ever wanted that. And Wiz, does Wiz still make music? Jay did Nas a favor when he had Mary Poe Braveheart Party off Stillmatic. Yo, I remember that. I don't know what happened. I remember she was on was it Fox 5 or something like that? And she was talking about how she's tired of people in the industry like kind of taking advantage of her, and that record was put out without her knowledge. And in hindsight, the hip hop gods was on Nas' side with that one. My goodness. Can you even find that record? Probably on YouTube. Somebody probably still has the original CD. But Braveheart Party was not a good record. Here we go. All right, so we're gonna go one more. Oh, maybe a couple more, but Slow It Down is obviously my favorite record off of Magic 2. And we were just talking about Life is Good. So would you take Stay or Slow It Down? Stay or Slow It Down? And for those asking, did the record get pulled? Can't find that. It's probably on YouTube though. Ty, I see that. Don, I see you. That's a hard choice, man. Tap into something different. This is an interesting comment right here, too, man. Shout out to y'all, man. I like this. Shout out to 8. Idle Gray, man. Hit Boy is getting Trackmaster's level of hate. There's some validity to that, man. That's a great comment. Because remember, in hindsight, we can go back and we can talk about the Street Dreams remix, and we can talk about affirmative action and records of that nature, right? And we give Trackmasters their flowers, but at the time, now a lot of people didn't like that pairing at all. I always like the Trackmasters. Yeah, yeah, Adriel in here buggy. Yeah. He said Bravehearts or Junior Mafia minus C's and Kim. Yeah, that's pretty much what the Bravehearts were, right? But I'm gonna say it again. I don't think they ever wanted to rhyme because I may be in the minority, but I did listen to that album with like the last 3 or 4 months just to run through it. Oh, it was bad. And I bought that album when it came out. The CD, I'll never forget. I bought it. I hated the single, and I still gave it a chance. What was the single? Quick to Back Down, right? With Lil Jon. Oh my God, why'd they do that? But that CD was awful. It had one joint on there with this female singing. It was very soulful. I like that a lot. But yeah, somebody said Hit Boy is mid. Yeah, it is what it is at this point, man. Hit is on a historic run. And we just spoke about this. I think I spoke about this earlier this week. How people seem to think that Nas kind of made Hit. Hit got a couple of joints on Utopia, right? So he can do this hip hop thing. He can get into like that little pop bag. He can do joints for Beyonce. He can tap into different realms, man. Just did a whole album with Music Soul Child. He can do he gets busy. Oh, that's fire. Peace. What up? What up? What up? What up? Brave Hearts. Man. Just trying to go through your comments, make sure everybody opportunity. Nation. What happened to Nation? Now that you have more mature ears, all right, I just want to know. I want to know. Now that we're a little older now, and we've experienced music, are you willing to state that Nas used to write for Nation? Yes or no? Do you think that Nas used to write for him? Braveheart, it was fire. Do you guys agree? Braveheart. It's amazing how someone could, like, at that time, like we were just speaking about leverage, like with MC Shan, right? Nas kind of leveraged his fame, the Ill Will label situation, and got his brother and his brother's best friend, or his brother's friend, a deal. That's crazy to me, man. That's crazy. That Nation right here. Nation was nice, man. I like Nation. I probably wrote for Jungle. Quan. See, now it's had quite a few. Yeah, remember Quan? Yeah. Quan was from VA, right? Dudes came and went. I like that Chubby album. I don't love it, but it got some joints on there where Quan and Lake. I know Quan I think they had a falling out. I remember years back he was on YouTube upset about something. I don't know what happened. Man. Revolutionary Warfare. That was my joint. Just a moment. Bad News Newport. Hit Boy. It's just okay. All right, let's do this. Hit Boy. Yes or no in the chat. For the sake of it, right? For the sake of it. Let me get my pen, see if I can write down. I can play along with this. Hit Boy. Is Hit Boy a top 10 hip-hop producer all time as of right now? Based on this runner he's been on and the discography you are aware of, is he a top 10? Yes or no? Top 10. Top 10. Some people may have higher highs. They may have that one song or two songs that are hip-hop, consider hip-hop royalty. But when we talking about totality, is hip-hop a top 10 hip-hop producer? Right now. Just right now. Right now. Stay Alone makes Life is Good better than Stillmatic. Yo, I love Stay, man. Stay is a perfect record. That's, if I had to choose one, I would probably take today. I'll probably listen to Life is Good more than Stillmatic. But I love Stillmatic as well. I don't know how to judge those two, but today I probably would play Life is Good more. But Stillmatic is one of those records where you remember, even 20 something years later, exactly where you were when you bought it, when you pressed play, and your first reaction when you heard that intro. That's what makes that album special. You knew exactly to this day how you felt when you pressed play on that album. I can't even tell you how many times we played that particular intro back to back to back. He deserves more time. Okay. All right. So Hit Boy is kind of polarizing, right? Because we've had so many producers come and go within our realm. And we have some stars that people really like, they don't even speak of, but they've put out the work to deserve to be there. So we're gonna shift. Eric Sermon, the Green Eye Bandit, is he a top 10 producer all time? Eric Sermon, top 10. Yes or no? How many producers have at least 2 classics? That's a great question. How many producers have full-length projects with people? Right. Eric Sermon. We putting him in there now. Top 10 producer all time. He's close, but no. We got no. Yes, Eric. I'm hard pressed. Like, could you name? I can't really name 9 other producers that are better at hip hop than Eric Sermon. Because you got to say this too, right? Eric Sermon's production aged gracefully. None of his stuff sounds cheesy now. You know how some people made like choices sonically. They may have decided to use that flute sound on the Triton, and now it sounds crazy today. Eric Sermon always seemed to make the right choices with the sounds to where it sounds great today. Eric Sermon, top 25. Nah, we're not doing that. Eric Sermon, top 25? No, nah. You know what? We probably have to ask that question again next week. You got to listen to Eric Sermon. You know what? Google him. A lot of people don't know some of the records he's done. Love Eric Sermon's production, man. He had that funk. Even his bass lines, a lot of people kind of like the way he was sequencing the joints was amazing. And his creativity. Eric Sermon. Shout out to Eric Sermon, man. Y'all rolling with this? Shout out to Don. It's great questions. Hit Boy Pharrell. Who y'all taking? And we're just talking hip hop now. Because if we're talking, we're getting into the pop bag. We know what the Neptunes have done and all of that. But if we're just talking hip hop, Eric Sermon, people don't speak about it. Eric Sermon influenced a lot of dudes. Someone just said that. But he, like, even Jay Dilla. If you listen to Jay Dilla's bass lines, there's a lot of E-dub in that, man. Eric Sermon was nice, man. One of my favorite producers ever. He just don't, like, people just kind of like gloss over what he did. Because we have quite a few people. We have, because you know what? It's easy to say like Hit Boy isn't top 10. Dilla is in a league of his own. Stop it. See, this is the problem with that whole Dilla situation. I love Dilla, but we're not going to sit here and act like he wasn't influenced by nobody. And no one ever said that he's not in a league of his own and he wasn't as creative or more creative than anyone else. But to get where you are, you do have to take certain elements from people and just enhance it. Not saying Dilla was better than or inferior to Eric Sermon, but if you listen, even listen to the Rhyme remix with Keith Murray, it has a lot of Eric Sermon influence in it. Because when we talk about production, a lot of us, we got away from the importance of albums. Because at one point, people were really talking about how much a producer make per beat and that mattered. But now that we're 20 years removed from that whole era, how many of those albums or those producers put out classic albums? A complete body of work. All right, you got the single on such and such album and it sold a bunch of records. But how many albums did you produce from top to bottom, or have the majority of the production? Because there's a lot of albums out there that are immaculate that don't get any credit because it didn't sell records. Like even something like Saigon's the Greatest Story Never Told. What Just Blaze did on that album was ridiculous. How each song was going in and out, blending, and then it kind of marries with the next song. That's production. And it'll probably never see the light of day or never get the praise it deserves because obviously he kind of got blackballed and it didn't sell any records. But when we talking about production, there's a lot out there, man. Don't get caught up in that record selling joint again. Yo, such and such sold 134 million records. That's cool. He was part of joints because he had the single. That's cool. I like that. When we talking about full bodies of work, what Havoc was doing, come on, how many people was doing that? Is Havoc top 10? My number one producer. Oh man. In hip hop. I don't even know. That's crazy. That's a great question. I haven't even thought about that. I guess number one, when we talking about production and we talking about sonics, and because when I think about albums, I think about the final mix and everything as well. I would have to probably give it to Dre, man. Most people will probably get into that bag. Yo, he ain't do the beating up. Listen, man, production, man. You seeing the artist, a project from beginning to end, your hand is in it. You on the mixing, you samples, you deciding what's on there to like. How could you really go against Dre? You can. I'm just saying, like, off the top, when I think about what he was able to do. Yeah, and if I'm being East Coast biased, probably. Yeah, I can't. East Coast bias, you probably got to get into. I don't know. I don't know. That's a hard one for me. But as far as listening to albums, a hip hop producer on the East Coast, I probably listen to Havoc's work more than anyone. RZA's a GOAT. Preem, obviously. We even got to give Ye his flowers, man. Like what Kanye was able to do, yeah. All antics aside, we ain't gonna act like what that man was, what he brought to the culture, his contribution from really paying attention to how an album is constructed. That's what matters, man. The most influential producer or the most influential individual in hip hop. I think me and Idle Gray has spoken on this, well, commented on this. And I kind of, because I wanted to speak about that today, is Q-Tip. He's the father to so many people's styles, including Kanye. It's Tip, man. Tip. Q-Tip, man. Q-Tip, man. The way he was catching samples, like the break beat, like how he was started on the snare as opposed to chopping it from the one. So obviously, boom, bap, the boom would be the kick. He would start the loop from the snare, and it would sound off when you're doing it, but when you put the sample on top, Q-Tip is a monster, man. There's no Andre 3 Stacks without Q-Tip. There's no Kanye. There's no Pharrell. There's no Tyler, the Creator. Q-Tip is the genesis of all of that, son. All of it. And a lot of stuff he has his hands on. He was touching on things, well, records that you wouldn't even, obviously you got the Tribe situation, right? But how he's able to make a contribution to Illmatic, then he can make a contribution to The Infamous. And then you come back with a totally different sound from anything Tribe has done. They need a love movement, or you can get in there and do records with Janet, but you don't get the credit. Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis get it, but the Uma, Q-Tip always reinvented himself. Always. Needle dropping on the record. The Renaissance. Listen to it now. Sounds great. Q-Tip is the father of many different styles, man. I see that. I'm for that, man. I hope they drop the project LL and Q-Tip. I would cop that. Hold up. Where we at? Someone said Q-Tip compares to Tyler in what way? The same way that Tyler compares himself to Pharrell. Pharrell is Tyler's genesis. That's where it starts from. He'll tell you that. A Pharrell in My Mind album, he glorifies that. He loves that. Without a Q-Tip, is there a Pharrell? It has to start somewhere. Just the freedom, being free with who you are. Speaking about different things. Some of the stuff like what Q-Tip was wearing or doing or how he was moving was considered hip hop in some people's eyes. He was always a free spirit, but he always kept it hip hop. Said 3 Stacks verse on Michael was trash. Stacks gonna have to give us an album, man. I'm on that boat. Here we go. Michael Williams is good, family. If Nas ever dropped Magic in 2021 and Magic 2 were the first release of a series, do you think it would have been received differently? If Nas never dropped Magic in 2021 and Magic 2 was the first release of the series. Now, so we're going from KD3 straight to Magic 2. Yeah, it probably would have, because people made that connection. I think that's the easiest way to state it. Like, they thought Magic 1 was literally, Magic 2 was going to be the sequel to Magic 1. The same sounds, but just probably 12 more tracks. Because people started really thinking of Magic, the Magic series, as some sort of like him paying homage to boom bap. And I think that's why a lot of people got upset, because it wasn't that. And I'm glad he didn't do that. Go listen to Magic 1 if that's what you wanted. And as far as the perceptions go, many people were turning the corner now, because we're a week out. And probably 3 months later, people will be like, yo, that record was tough. They never really listened to it. It wasn't what they wanted. And right off the bat, it was trash. Everything becomes a brick if it's not what someone wants. But you got to sit with these albums when we're dealing with artists. This ain't that cookie cutter formula. So I'm going to piggyback that question, because if you think about what if Magic 2 came out first and Magic 1 was the sequel? Would everyone be okay? Or would they be mad because they deviated from that sound? That's the problem with expectations, man. When you be going into these albums, you kind of ruin your entire experience. If it was a standalone project, it would have more appreciated on his merit. People were expecting a certain soundscape. They were. And it shows, right? It shows, which is odd, because, well, it was that break in between too, because KD2 doesn't sound like KD3, but then you had that Magic break in between. So it was kind of like people kind of cleared their palate. But no, because the same thing is for this. KD3 doesn't sound any. No. I think the expectations is the problem. And that's pretty much what you're stating. They just keep connecting each album and they're going into the whole thing just taken away from their whole experience. Keep comparing the albums. That's crazy. So in the chat a week later, because I know last week it was mixed reviews. This week, let's rate the album Magic 2. Scale to 1 to 5. What you going with? Scale to 1 to 5. You can give it a 4.4, 4.2, whatever. You can do the decimal. But what would you give it? If you was giving your overall review, what is it? I feel like I'm missing a bunch of super chats. Hold on. Got that. No, we went over that. KD1 is a little closer to KD2. KD1 is dope. Compare track for track. Love both albums. I like KD1. As time went on, I started to appreciate it more, you know? When it first came out, I wasn't walking around saying it was a classic, but first of all, I was appreciative for them to have an album out. That was coming off Nasir, so it was dope. Played it a lot. Car 85 was my tune, my joint at the moment. The Cure is my favorite record on it now, but now it's just keep evolving, man. None of the KDs sound the same. Although you can hear the progression or what they was trying to do. KD2 kind of like they perfected what they were trying to do on KD1. Then you get to a KD3, it's just like another highlight reel, kind of like Stillmatic in a sense, right? I'm gonna show you I can do everything, including no features. Different, man. 4.25. Yeah, that's fair. 3.75. Fair as well. 4.25. Game 252. 4.3. Magic 2 is a 5. Okay. 3. Strong 4.5. Yeah. Nah, these are quit because y'all, this is ungrateful. I don't know what everyone is seeking, man, but like I stated last week, you can ask individuals, get in the studio with Nas and tell him exactly what they wanted, and many people couldn't do it. They couldn't. So it's easier to complain. It is. Store run or slow it down? The last one. What y'all think? Store run or slow it down? Store run over slow. This is a fact. Like, I know we all love Dilla. We all love Dilla, but he was influenced by others. Mr. Kamal, the abstract. Q-Tip, man. Q-Tip. The real Leonard Washington. What up, fam? What's good? Make sure all these comments. I'm putting some dope joints in here. Magic 2 is a 5-course meal of hip hop wizardry. Listen, man, listen. People love this album. They do. Some people hate it. That's what I'm saying. It's like a polarizing situation. I don't know if most people came out the gate not liking it because they didn't have enough time, but a lot of people are ranking this very high. They are. And that's 5 albums. They figured it out. Everything couldn't be a 5. First impression of KD1 is what I wish certain songs were a little longer, but that album is aging very well. I like KD1 a lot as well. And especially like when it first came out, no one can say that they knew what was gonna be on the album. Like as far as the direction goes, that was a pairing that seemed odd, and it worked. It did. What was the most heavily promoted album with regards to marketing for Nas and Hit Boy? Would you say KD3? Because obviously the Magic series don't get no love with marketing. Like they just put it out there, a couple of posts here and there, but I can't remember the build up to KD1. Ultra Black was, I think Ultra Black was the single, right? Yeah. KD3 may be the most promoted album of the three, right? Moments, that's my joint. Favorite song on KD1 has to be Composure. That's my joint. KD1, he had a wild promo run. KD2 got hyped because M and L Boogie, Death Row East. Yes. Yeah. KD2 is fire, man. KD2 don't get enough love, man. Composure is my joint. Death Row East, I learned to appreciate that. Pressure. Moments. Nobody. KD2 got some joints on there. KD, yeah. Yeah. Which album did you listen to more, KD2 or Magic? Is it made like even when everyone is like having discourse right in a mature way, it's fascinating to read the comments and see how everyone experienced the music different. Like we're all Nas fans, but it's even a separation within that of the albums that you love or what you consider to be the best. KD2 or Magic? Count me in as yo KD2. Listen, man. KD2 must, it may be the most slept on album of the series, the collaboration. KD2, they was in their bag, man. KD3 is the best, but I listen to KD2 more. That's a good comment. I like that. YKTV. I think this sums it up right here. KD2 has more range. Yeah, because when you go from, you got the Storm Run, The Pressure, Death Row East, Brunch on Sundays, right? My Bible, Composure, Nobody, Moments. Yeah, KD2, that it has a lot of range. Count me in. I wasn't crazy about Red, but I love it now. The way Nas ended KD2 with Nas is good. Man, it felt like Biggie on Kick on the Door saying we did it. You know what? KD2 is KD2 top album of their releases? Can you emphatically state that? Like if you list in their top 2 albums that Nas and Hit Boy have done, is KD2 going to be in your top 2? KD2, hold on, I'm trying to think with that as well. How many videos did he do on? I know he did Brunch on Sunday. That was it, right? I gotta go to the track list. Moments doesn't have on no. Storyline doesn't have on. Therefore, ease pressure. Spike. We got Magic number one. I think I probably listened to Katie on KD2, no skips. Track 1 through 9, no skips. Fire on KD3. Once a man, twice a child. Hood, rare production is fire. So what you hold on? KD2, no skips. Tracks 1 through 9, no skips. Fire on KD3. Once a man, twice a child. Hood to hood, rare production is fire. Once a man, twice a child is like, that's fire, man. It was amazing how he was able to take like a concept like that and to give you the feeling of a second childhood part two, but it's not the same. Like, it's amazing, man. You can make connections to those records too if you listen to the lyrics. Once a man, twice a child is fire. A report just came out saying Magic 2 only moved 17K first week, the lowest of his career. What are your thoughts on this? I was expecting 24 to 26. Yeah, we were speaking about this early. My thing is earlier, doesn't take away from the music because we don't really know how to quantify those numbers. We said how Nasir sold 70K, KD 47, KD 252. This is first week, KD 30, Magic 29. Magic 2 is about 16, 17, you're stating. If we're going by those sales of his last couple of projects, going back to Nasir, outsold all of it. Are we going to say that that's the best album? Nas is in a situation where he may not stream, or I don't know how the record sale business goes, but he's not debuting in the top 5, but he's selling out his shows. And some of those who have way greater streaming numbers are canceling their shows. So with streaming, who's listening? Because if you have X amount of streams, but when it's time to go on tour, you have to cancel the show because nobody's buying the tickets. I'm inclined to believe that some of those streaming numbers are not for real. But if I'm able to sell out Barclays or the Garden or go on an international tour and go on a national tour from the East Coast over to the West Coast and sell it out, but my first week sales are only about 20,000, makes you wonder. I don't think promotion is the situation. I just think that a lot of these numbers that we're comparing it to, those who come in at number one, a lot of this stuff is inflated. Between those two numbers is where you'll get the actual numbers. You know what I'm saying? Those album sales is nah. I don't understand it. I really don't. I hate to sound like that guy in the room. I don't get it. Because if you can talk about people knowingly knowing about streaming farms and stuff like that, and no one does anything about it, we can still have that talk. And you can still have indie artists up there. Go on Spotify. Like someone you don't know could probably have like 50,000 monthly listeners, right? Not to say that's a bunch. But they probably can't even sell out SOBs. It's weird. I don't understand it. I don't get it. Is it a black eye on Nas fans? Nah, I wouldn't say that because I think it was TheEezeExperience that said that people would like kind of pick and choose what they can do nowadays. Some people don't have streaming services, so even though YouTube is free, they'll save up their money as opposed to paying for a DSP, and they'll go to the show instead, you know, or they'll buy a T-shirt, they'll buy a headband. We just never know. I don't know. I don't know how this streaming stuff goes. If it was physical copies and he only moved 20,000, I don't know. I don't care about numbers. I just worry Nas might eventually get discouraged and stop making albums if the support isn't there. That's a great point. It is. Because he doesn't have to do it. But at the same time, the support, like that word support is a bit odd because if I'm selling out shows, the support is there. Like you said he sold 16,000, right? First week, 16 to 17, something like that. But an arena may have 25,000 it sells out. That's just one arena in one city. So I'm able to sell out in one city, but my streaming numbers don't reflect the fact that my streaming numbers are less than the amount of people that can be fill this stadium to capacity. That's not odd. That don't make sense to me. I don't get it. I don't get it, man. I could be wrong, though, but until they can give us concrete answers regarding streaming, like even the amount of money an artist gets is less than a penny. Why couldn't it just be one number amount for each streaming platform? We're getting people who's getting like 0.7, less than a penny. And then over here, you may get 0.5. I don't know, man. You think KD4 is dropping this year? No. Wow. I think he's gonna drop something else. I do. I don't know if it's gonna be KD4, but if he does, hopefully it's around the winter. Let this one rock out, man. Do the hip hop 50 joint. Do a couple of videos. Let it catch on. And see what happens. But this is a good comment. Because catalog does matter. It does when we're talking about shows and stuff like that. So when you have 3 different primes, like he stated, you're going to get people in the show that's from the 90s or those who love the Illmatic era and those who love the present time. A lot of people can't do that. You know what I mean? So I think they have a different way of gauging his success. Because if it was very much about record sales, you're right, Michael Williams, they probably wouldn't make music. But obviously they figured something else out where whatever they losing over here is gaining over there. Whether it's merch, like people copping Henny about it, like they making the difference is there. Most definitely. This is a great comment. I like this. It was the same thing when Chloe Bailey dropped her first album. People say her album flopped, yet she has sold out shows recently on her tour and preparing for another show. So who really flopped? You know what I mean? Like, because our attention spans, like we're talking about Utopia today. Shout out to Travis Scott. And then by Thursday, people will be moved on. Now, I'm pretty sure he won't have an issue selling out shows, but it's a lot of cats. When you look at their monthly listeners and who's streaming them, they can't sell out. I'm not talking about massive stadiums or arenas. They have a hard time selling out smaller venues, but they have a bunch of streaming numbers. And as far as all that platinum, he did platinum and all that stuff already. He did it. Not to say he don't want to go platinum now, but I'm not going to act like he's some type of niche artist that didn't have the singles or that didn't sell a bunch of records or have a bunch of number ones. Because Untitled, didn't that debut at number 1? And most people don't consider that to be a great Nas album. So when we're talking about record sales, that's cool. But as a fan, you should be more fixated and focused on the music because ultimately that's for you. Beats and rhymes, not SoundScan. That's why I'm not so big on all of the stuff like streaming parties and because you can do all that you want to do, but until they tell everyone the formula, it don't matter because even if you did stream it 50,000 times, if you don't know how it works, anything can be manipulated. It's kind of like when a bunch of cats back in the day when they used to be like, the label was buying the albums. It's always been funny business, man. We just don't know how these record sales go. You don't. That's why I don't even be focused on it. I'm press play. If I like it, I like it. I'm gonna keep playing it. I'll probably go to a show. I'll buy a hoodie or something, and that's that. Cheat codes is dope. She on fire. I think to get people to leave their homes and buy tickets and merch is a big win for me. It is. It is. A sold out arena. And even as a fan, as a someone who probably creates the music, just to be able to stand on that stage and you got 30,000 people who came out to see you to hear that music, that probably has to be more gratifying than probably debuting at number 1 and then in week 2 you down to 15. What does that state? Yeah, that's crazy. Your idol Gray, you on your bully today, man. What we talking about? She cold is cool, not on his level. Make sure I get to these. Yes. Shirley, DC, what's up, fam? Trying to go. Surely you can get bots to stream your music. It doesn't mean anything. This is a fact. We all know that though, man. It's like we beating a dead horse, man. We understand how it goes. So once again, as Nas fans or fans of anyone, whether it's Jay, whether it's Black Thought, whether it's, I don't know, Little Brother, whether you love Q-Tip, Large Pro, whoever, don't get caught up in these record sales, man. Because when you get start speaking about record sales, you could very well be discouraging an artist who doesn't have high self-esteem from even dropping music. If that's the barometer of whether or not you're successful, because we're in the indie game now too. So labels aren't shipping albums out and you're going platinum overnight because it got shipped to mom and pop stores and major retail stores. But someone selling 16,000 or streaming, I don't even know what that number means, right? Because when they said you debuted at 16,000 first week, that includes streaming and physical copies, right? Whatever it means, don't get fixated on that. Do you like the project or not? And if you do, continue to play it, put people on, go to a show. That's that. That's all I can state, man. Because record sales, I don't understand it anymore. And if he's doing it for the love, shout out to him. But I will say, I don't think these individuals are into wasting their time. If they weren't gaining anything from it, or if it wasn't for the love, he wouldn't do it. So don't feel bad for Nas. Don't feel bad for Hit Boy. Don't feel bad for Mass Appeal. Because it's give and take, right? Just like he made debut with 16,000 sales first week. Like I stated earlier, the Supreme Team documentary, which he directed, it was a executive producer, just got nominated for an Emmy, right? So it's like, he's playing different games. He got his hands in different pockets. So success, everyone deems success to be something different. Idol Gray, who are you referring to? Black Thought? Mace, what up, dog? Shout out to the Rap Roundtable. What up, fam? Idol Gray 88, exactly. Cats claim to be Nas fans when they just fans of 90s Nas. Complain all day and conclude that he's top 5. Because it's a popular thing to state, you know? Not to say that they're wrong, but my whole thing is, man, do you listen to the music? Do you support? Can you quote lines? Can you have a discourse about B-side records? Do you read the credits? If I told you to name 5 storytelling joints without considering the go-tos, like I Gave You Power, or if you really had to get into his discography, could you do that? That's how I gauge fans, man. Because some people, like I said, like you said it as well, they just complain about everything, but then they'll say he's top 5, which is kind of like an oxymoron. Doesn't make any sense because it's a popular thing to state, but at the same time, they're never satisfied with the work unless it's Primo involved, unless it's from the 90s, or unless we're talking about a Jay-Z or Rockefeller battle. That's the only time everybody seems to be on the same page, you know what I'm saying? But when it comes to evolution and watching individuals evolve as humans, They don't like that. They want you to stay in the same place. But they never look at it realistically. Like, what if you was 17 and you never evolved as a man or a woman? You would look at that like, yo, what am I doing out here? I'm bugging. But a rapper's supposed to talk about the same thing for 30 years. And it's supposed to be normal. That makes no sense to me. It doesn't. So let matters. Nas and Hit Boy for the love from the fans for sure. And every artist should feel that way, man. Support your favorite artist. I don't care who it is. Nas, Travis Scott, Drake, if you like Lil Durk, whoever it is. Don't just get on the internet and claim that you're supporting. Listen to the music. Dissect lyrics. Put other people on to game. That way the music that you love continues to be here. And they continue to create. Let me just, So evolving is mid-hit production. Nah, that's cool. I see you in the comments. That's cool. You don't got to like Hit Boy. I'm not trying to convince anyone to do anything, but I'm solution-based. So now you complaining about Hit. What do you want? State exactly what you want as a fan and don't mention Primo. I'm telling you, if Nas can put certain people in the studio and say, yo, what kind of album are you looking for? And they couldn't even coherently describe it. But they can tell you everything they don't want. Every Nas album has a classic dope Nas song on it. Even Isaiah has Adam and Eve, Nostradamus has Project Windows, Last Words, etc. I get something from every Nas album. And it just goes by how you gauging it, right? If you're looking for everything to be a classic, which we should, you want quality music. But sometimes it's not a classic in some people's eyes if it's not similar to the previous work. That's a problem. That's corny. I'll say it again, as humans, man. Like, if you look at your job resume, right? It's always progression, right? So you may start here and then between time you may go to college, right? Now you just adding different credentials or you're getting certified in different areas. As that time goes on, your employers are going to change, right? Because you're going upward. You're evolving as a person. So how can you expect an artist, whether it's, I don't care who it is, how could you get upset when they add different things to their game? Whether it's a basketball player, whether it's a rapper, whether it's an artist. I don't understand it. Jonathan, I got you in a minute. Hold up. Here we go. 90s Nas versus 2000 to 2023 Nas. Who wins in the versus battle? Oh, man, that's crazy. 90s Nas versus, that's 23 years. Let's see. Still in the versus battle. Now, obviously, with a versus battle, are we including legendary features? Even if we are, you got to go. That's because you got 20 joints, right? You probably got to go 2000 and beyond, I would think, right? In a versus battle? That's crazy. That's a great question, fam. Hold up. That's fire. Hold on. So we're going Illmatic. It was written. You probably got to go 90 because we're probably including all those features, right? It's different variables. It's how you break it down. Is it 20 songs? Because the 90s, we're going 6 years, right? We got 6 years there versus 23. Now we're doing maybe 8 or 9 songs, probably the 90s. But after that, if we're doing much more than that, it would be, it's kind of unfair because of the window. Because he got started, his first album debut was 94. That's 6 years, and we're getting up to 2000, and then we got 2000 up until the present day, 23 years. It depends how many joints that we're doing in the verses. If we're doing 20, let me know, Dame. Are we including features, or are we just doing his records? Do you think Illmatic is a curse to Nas? No, I think it's a blessing, because most people compare him to himself, right? So they'll always compare everything to Illmatic, but they'll use it against him as well. But he created Illmatic, so that will always be the checkmate. You're comparing me against myself, but yet you don't expect anyone else to make that. I'm the only one that has one of those. And I think that's the way he probably looks at it. He's gotten over it, you know? Early on, it probably was like an Achilles heel, but once you realize you can't satisfy everybody, you just let it go. Small World is one of the dopest storytelling. Yes, it is. Small World of I Am. I always thought Timbaland did that beat by. It was Nasheem Merrick, who used to be down with the Hitmen, Bad Boy. Great story. Phenomenal story. Fire. And Vanguardian TV, this is it right here. The backpackers won't allow Nas to grow musically. And it's sad. It is. And it seems like we speak about the same thing often. It's like, yo, let's evolve, man. What you want them to talk about? That's it. And a couple of more comments. Disillusioned rap fans want beats that sound like the Raucous Backpack Def Chucks era. Like, we good on that, man. Go listen to that. Because the individuals who are attached to that, whether it's the Talibs or the most, y'all don't support them like that either. You see how they want to keep you boxed in, but they don't even support it? It's weird. Nostalgia. I'm telling you, nostalgia can be an Achilles heel. It'll box you in. Artists are not meant to be boxed in. And the true artists are not going to let you box them in. So you only frustrating yourself calling Hit Boy trash. And they got 5 albums in. And it only seems like they stopping anytime soon. So either support it or move on. Or listen to the old stuff. Either way, you're supporting him. You can listen to Illmatic and not bash what's happening today. You can do that. Yeah, I'm not a Talib fan either. I was just using him as an example. But he has made a contribution. That he has. The Reflection Eternal album is fire. Oh, it includes features. My bad, Dame. I got you. I was looking for your comment. It includes features. So we're going, all right, for the sake of argument, 90s Nas versus the 2000s and beyond. If it's 10 joints, 10 joints. Yo, that's a crazy question. I'm scared to make a commitment. I'll probably go 90s Nas. Probably. Stillmatic. I don't know, man. That's crazy because it goes down to Stillmatic. For the sake of argument, I'll say 90s Nas if it's 10 joints and we doing features, because he has like some of the most flawless collaborations. And if we only doing 10 joints in the verses, and I'm assuming that this crowd is a hip hop crowd, right? This is people, like-minded individuals who listen to the same music we do. I'll probably go 90s Nas, but that's no indictment on what he's done the last after that in the 2000s. That just goes to show you how great he is. And that's the problem. Like, it was written and like Illmatic is kind of like a cheat code too. And it's different variables because although the lost tapes came out at a later date, some of that stuff was recorded around the I Am time. Like, it's crazy. It's too much stuff, man. And then he got all the unreleased records. I don't know, man. I think it would probably be better to split it up into decades, do the 90s and 2000s and 10s and 20s. That's the only way. Because like he said, he got 3 primes, right? And the fact that we can even have this argument or debate or even focus on it speaks volumes. But shout out to hip hop, man. Hip hop is in a great place. That we get away from all this other stuff like record sales and first week. We don't know any of that stuff, man. We don't know how this goes. And I'm going to keep asking the question. If I buy an MP3 from Mass Appeal, because you can buy MP3s from them, does that count towards album sales? We don't know. Until they can answer these questions, y'all just enjoy the music. And it doesn't make an album fire or hot. Excuse me, fire or trash based on that. Its Mine was 99. That's Murder Music. See what I mean? The 90s is kind of iffy. Like, if you're not really paying attention to the years, you'll forget. A lot of that stuff was prior. You got a lot of hits in that 6-year window. Here we go. Always got to be a Nas and Jay joint, so we'll entertain this. Hampton Phillips was good. Jay's 444 versus Nas's King's Disease. I'm assuming you're saying 1, right? King's Disease 1. I don't know. I'm not a big fan of 444's production. That's the thing. I love No ID. Someone had a dope idea. Do a March Madness tournament with the Hit Boy series. The 64 songs. Perfect. That is a dope idea, but the issue with that is trying to figure out the rankings, like in the brackets. Like, what would be a number 1 seed if you did a March Madness with Nas and Hit Boy? Like, a store run a number 1 seed? That is the phenomenal idea. One thing you can, whether you like 444 or Magna Carta, I may not be that high on those albums, but Jay is another guy. Late in his career, he did try new things, man. He did. That's part of art. So you're going to strike out. You are. If you keep it safe all the time, and if he made volume 1 12 times, he can do that in his sleep. He mastered that. You got to keep in mind, these artists get bored too. They don't want to go in the studio and make the same song over and over. I love Nas, but let's not act like there's no rapper who don't have a catalog that can go against his. I can dig it. Like, Jay will probably be the only one you can make a legitimate argument with and kind of make some sense. Other than that, who has enough catalog to even do it? That's what it is. I love one. Trying to make sure everyone get highlighted. I don't want to leave anyone out because y'all putting some fire in here today. I like 444 and Magic. They'll say Doom, Scarface. Nah, Doom. Shout out to Doom, though. Appreciate his contribution, but What? Yo, y'all be J Bag isn't like that. Y'all need to stop. He's a media creation. Yo, listen, man. Even if the media created him, we ain't gonna act like he don't got no joints, man. I think Nas has a better discography. It's like solo joint, but Jay last album was Blueprint 3, his last good album. Oh, yo, y'all calling the last J classic was American Gangster for me. What's that? 08? What's that? 08, 09? I agree. I think Nas has by far the greatest discography because his range is different things. But someone had mentioned the verses. That's a different kind of animal as well. But when we're just talking about solo, and then you get into a bag like a Lost Tapes, where some people consider it to be a solo album, some people consider it to be a compilation or a project of many songs from recording sessions, but not an official album. Then you can get into like a Distant Relatives. He tried many different things, man, and consistently does it. Best of the two best of both worlds albums. Nah, yeah, that's Jay checks more boxes than anyone. We can have that debate someday. We can do that. Do you think it's time for that Nas and Primo album? Now I'm good on that, family. Shout out to Primo, the legend, Mount Rushmore, one of the greatest to ever do it. I ain't gonna say hip hop producers. We're just gonna call him a producer. What he brought to the game, bounce, the way he chopped the sample, how he. A lot of people say that he would make the beats right in front of the producers, like in front of the artists. I love Primo when he gives interviews, how he just bigs up the culture. Always seems to be inviting, just a mentor. But I don't want a Nas and Primo album. I'm not asking for it. If they drop it, I'm gonna buy and support. Of course, why wouldn't I? I'm gonna listen to it, but I'm cool with the Hit Boy joint. I'll take a Nas and Alchemist EP, something like that. We don't need a Primo album because if it doesn't live up to the expectations, y'all going to go in on the internet. They will, because they just looking for something to complain about. Oh, they definitely gonna do that. They don't do nothing else. Yo, Primo ain't used the right drum machine and told Nas not to. But that's what you wanted. That's what you wanted. '2020's Nas is my favorite era of Nas. Wow, that's Magic 2 has cemented it. His perspective resonates with me more. His overall artistry is better, more interesting. That's a great comment. Can you really argue against that? Like some people are, as he stated, like it resonates with him because the overall artistry. He sees Nas evolving as an artist, and some fans and supporters, that's what they're looking for. They've heard the other stuff, and now they want something different, and they are all in on their favorite artist taking risks. I respect that. Why would Primo boost sales? It would get talked about more, maybe. He's still doing 30K Premiere without big name features. Yeah, and you got to think about it. Nas, I'm gonna keep saying it. Nas and Primo have never really. They had one single, a street single, Nas Is Like, which is a classic record. But let's not act like they was tearing down the charts when they was collabing as well. You know, like they don't have any smash singles, and this is from the era when you was moving units, shipping. They were selling singles, full LPs. They just have classic records and B-sides, like Michael Williams stated, resonates with you. It's that nostalgia feel, or you connect to what they create. But to think that Primo is going to boost sales, nah, he won't. He won't, because they don't. That's not the type of music that they made. It was never predicated on that. And I don't think he's going to give in, because he kind of previewed what it would be when he gave y'all beat breaks. And nobody talks about that. That was last year. That joint came out on the Hip Hop 50th joint, the DJ Premier compilation. It came and went, and nobody ran the numbers up. You don't even use that as an example. Even when you talk about Primo, you're talking about stuff that happened 20 years ago, not the latest joint. And that was a clear indication of probably where it was going to go if they were to create an album. Hit Boy has range, not to say Primo doesn't. And I think Hit Boy, if you listen to the stories, Primo always states how he makes the beats in front of the artist, right? He creates on the spot. Hit Boy seems to be the guy that's always making beats. He comes with a batch. Like their workflow probably works better. Like, yo, Nas, I got this folder for you. Go through the joint, see what you like. I can make some changes. Nas doesn't probably have to wait around. He can just keep creating. It's something about the synergy or the collab that works for both artists. If he can make 5 projects with this dude in 3 years, it's working. He likes to work with him. And this is my thing, because it comes down to execution. The last Premier beat gave Westside Gun and Rome Was Fire. Don't know if he can make 15 of those. That's the thing when you're making an album. Some Magic too. I said it like 7 out of 10 joints, right? Can Primo top the 7 out of 10? And that a lot of people like every record on Magic 2. They bump them all. That's just my assessment. But can Primo meet those expectations? Or are you such a Nas and Primo fan that you're gonna say it's fire, even if you don't like it because you don't like the Hit Boy tandem? It's so many different variables, man. It's like a split within Nas supporters. It's odd. Some people just don't like Hit Boy. There was a common hit earlier where someone said that Hit Boy is like the new track masters. They just hate him. Happens that way. I don't know. Primo will always, just like Nas and Jay synonymous with each other, Nas and Primo will always be mentioned in the same breath. Always. There's nothing we can do about that. But they seem to be in a good space. They're not beefing about it. They're not arguing. Primo not even pressing for it. Primo did Prime with Royce. Do you think Primo can still make records like that for Nas? Yeah, he can. But when was the last Prime 2? When did that come out? How long ago was that? Gotta look that up. I'm sure he can. But is that the sound you want at this particular moment? We're some years removed from that. So Primo will have to come with a new sound for Esco. Shout out to Royce too. I think the bigger question, you guys asked for a Nas and Primo album. Why is there not a Prime 3 if it was working? 2018, that's 5 years ago. What do you think about the Teflon MLP album Primo produced? I gotta read the credits because did he produce all of this? I heard his voice on the joint. Hold on, I'm gonna look it up now because I'm big on credits. I don't want to jump out the window and give him the credit. Which album are you talking about? You talking about the Two Sides to Every Story joint? One, two, three, 5. Yeah, he got about 6 joints on there. From what I heard on that joint, I wasn't sure if he did all the beats that they was knocking. They definitely sound different from the beat break joints he gave Nas. But maybe he got into his old bag. I don't know, man. But do you want to hear Nas over those beats though? Because even when you listen to Nas and Primo's production, it wasn't necessarily what he was giving MOP was something slightly different, you know? Like Nas is like has like a musicality thing to it. It's not, it doesn't sound like something he was creating for Teflon, you know what I'm saying? Or even Memory Lane, very melodic. Even I Gave You Power has a eeriness to it where it's melodic too. They definitely have great synergy. It's been proven. It's like you can never take that away. When we're talking about tandems, top 3 ever in hip hop history without singles. But in 2023, do you really want that? Or is it something that you're yearning for because you didn't get it when it was supposed to come out? Kind of like a Nas and AZ album. Sometimes these things just don't ever come together. They just don't. A lot of projects like that. We never got a Scarface and Beanie Siegel album. Nobody acts like Preem is washed. It's the fact that you guys are trying to act as if what him and Nas have done was within the last 5 years. We living off old highlight reels at this point. And we kind of disregarding the new work. That's odd to me. We're going to keep watching them old highlights. Yo, he's still putting up 30. Y'all still, the highlights going to be there. But let's appreciate what's happening today. Alchemist is cool, but don't have enough knocking Jones and melodies. So you may be right. Hit Boy probably is the best for him right now. Don't be fooled with the Alchemist, though. Alchemist got drums, too, and he got melodies. Don't go by what he gives Griselda or what he's doing with anyone affiliated with that camp or even Freddie Gibbs. Alchemist, if he needed to, Alchemist got drums, man. Alchemist is dead nice. Everybody knows that, though, but sometimes you got to, people don't understand his range. Alk is a problem. Why all the Hit Boy hate? If Jay did a Hit Boy collab, his fans would love it. I think because Nas got a divide within his fan. Like somebody mentioned it earlier, right? Like it's like he's supposed to be the chairman of the backpack committee. Like, yo, we beyond that. And when did Nas become a backpack rapper? I can't even remember the time when he was that. Even Illmatic isn't backpack rap. It's just a dude who grew up in a certain environment, experienced different things, and wrote about it. And then It Was Written certainly wasn't backpack. So when did he become this thing that you box him in to be? He was never that. He was never a Mos Def. He was never a Talib Kweli. That was never his lane. I don't understand it. Havoc and Nas, that'd be nice. But if it was gonna happen, they would have did it already, man. Why are fans trying to get rid of Hit Boy? There's only a certain amount of individuals who's stating that. And I don't understand it. You're wasting your time. I mean, I'm gonna keep saying it. It's 5 albums already, and you still keep saying the same thing. And I know they have reached. They're listening. They hear what you're saying, but they're not listening. They're not being moved by what you want. And if you're a Nas fan, why can't you just let that go? And you can honestly state to yourself, just say, I don't like his current stuff. That's cool too. There's nothing wrong with that. Just say, I like. Many people like the original Temptations. And when they started swapping people out and putting different people in the group and started making albums with different people and having branch offs of the group, a lot of people wasn't with that because they're purists. They like what they like. Doesn't make them individuals who aren't knowledgeable, but just like what you like and don't knock what's happening right now. Because that's what I do. I listen to what I like. That's always my aim. I'm not about to get on here and talk about stuff I don't like. It's a waste of time. How can you live like that? All day you talk about what you don't like. Fam, what do you like? Let's talk about some solutions. I don't want to hear about no problems, no issues. What do you like? Then listen to that. But you are missing out, living in the past, stuck in the past. He's not a spoken word artist. Yo. Listen, man, this dude done checked all boxes. He gave y'all singles. He gave y'all street classics. He gave y'all mixtape runs. He gave you features. He gave you albums dedicated to with one producer. He gave you conceptual records, conceptual albums. Everything that you can ask for. Everything. And is always something. Oh, whatever he does, the way it was written is too commercial. Everybody still want it. Illmatic. I Am is an issue with that. Never mind, it was a leak. Nostradamus, you say he fell off. Meanwhile, I Am came out maybe 5 or 6 months prior to that. So how do you fall off in 5 or 6 months? Then he come with Stillmatic. Now, Godson, people don't like that. Like, whatever he does is going to be a certain percentage of his fan base that's going to be upset because he's not making another Illmatic. So just listen to Illmatic. That's all you got to do. Run those numbers up, because all you cats that always talking that Illmatic, you didn't buy that either. You didn't buy that album. Go look at the first week sales on that. You didn't buy it. You didn't buy it, but somehow it's the hip hop Bible. And I'm not arguing against that, because it is what it is. I'm never against Illmatic, but I'm also a fan of Stillmatic. And I also like KD too. See how that works? I'm able to appreciate it all. Don't tell me you supported something, you love something, and you did not spend your hard-earned money on it. You didn't, because the numbers reflect that. You didn't. And you can't run away from that history. All the Illmatic fans, I love y'all. Dude, I'm a fan of that project too. Y'all didn't buy that. Because based on the way people talk about it, it should have went 5 times platinum the first week. You would think it went 5 times platinum. And it didn't. Just appreciate every era. It's something for everyone. That's it. Something for the ladies, the women, something for young men. It's something for people who are going through relationship issues. It's something for people who are trying to increase their financial literacy. It's something for people who are avid readers. Listen to some of the lyrics. He's giving out books that you should read. It's something for everybody. Everything won't be for you. Just like I stated on Magic 2, certain songs aren't for me. Abracadabra, I probably would never like that song. Or love it, I should say. I'm not going to bash it. Why? Because I'm too busy listening to Office Hours. I'm too busy listening to Slow It Down. Low-Key Went by Emotion. I'm too busy focusing on the things that I like to be talking about stuff I don't like. That's it. Hit Boy got Nas in the stew. Don't need Nas disappearing for another 6 years. Listen, that's a great comment. He's working. At least he's putting out music, right? He's for someone who's accomplished so much, as the young dude was able to get Nas in the studio to be this productive, and as a supporter, as a fan, how could you argue against that? How? You can't, or you shouldn't. You can't make a logical debate point as to why you're against this, other than you want him to team up with some older cats or some other dudes. How come J fans don't clamor for him to recreate Reasonable Doubt and only work with Ski, Clark Kent? Some Nas fans don't want him to evolve. That's a great point as well. It's odd. It's like, that's my Nas. I want him to do what I want him to do. Like, it's not the way this works. These people are they're humans, just like you. Let them evolve. And that's a great point, man. Even Michael stepped away from Quincy. My goodness. You may like Thriller, you might like Off the Wall, but let's not act like Dangerous is straight trash. It's something for everybody. You got to go in different directions, man. All right, Teddy Riley, cool. I'm gonna link up with Dark Child. It happens. That's what artists do. That's what artists do, man. And you act like Primo is a charity case too, like he can't debate for himself, or if he was upset, he'll speak about it. Secondly, Primo is still making records. Primo is DJing. Primo is on the radio. Primo and Nas seem to be have a great relationship to this day. They just did a song recently, right? He just was just doing doing scratches on Wave Guards. They seem to be in a good space. They're good. It's what it is. This dude in here spitting today. Yep. Prince and Miles Davis pissed off their fans for years. And how did they do that? By evolving. And those same fans who were pissed off now going back to those albums they didn't like and calling them genius. Give it some time. Sometimes the artists that you can't figure out, or sometimes they're making confusing decisions, they may be just 1 or 2 decades ahead of their time. It's possible. It's possible. Most real Nas fans are loving this new run. Only the fake Nas fans, Undercover J, look for a reason to hate on the new albums. 5 albums by hit, and they all sound different. That's a great point. People masking as being fans, right? Yeah, that's crazy. Yo, man, just like what y'all like, man. Press play on it, love it, promote it, get lost in it. Because that's what music is all about. Music is supposed to be uplifting, man. We should not be always arguing and debating about this nonsense that don't even affect us, man. The only thing we can speak about is the music that we're getting. Because like Mike H stated, I went through that time period where I didn't know. I'm pretty sure you all did too. You didn't know when Nas was going to drop. He would just drop off the face of the earth, just quiet. He outside. He's outside, son. Putting on shows. Letting you know when he's going to drop. You getting videos of him in the studio. You never used to get stuff like that. Here's the thing. Even when you did get videos of him in the studio back then, he looked disinterested. Personality wasn't there. Looked uncomfortable. Didn't seem happy. How could you not be excited for him? He in a good space. Good space. And he's creating. But y'all still want that Uzi and the Army lining joint. Like, that's not coming back, man. That's over. We're all adults now. Everyone here, I'm assuming, is an adult. And you were once very young, and you're evolving as a human now. And you don't want to be the same person you were 5 years ago. So stop expecting other people to do the same thing. It's ridiculous. Oh, man, I knew this was coming. Nas and Wu coming to an arena near you this fall. Bug out to those classics at the show. Yeah, if you in the New York area, they'll be at Barclays in September. If you love the show, if you love that content so much, go buy a ticket. Simple. And you can hear everything live. And guess what? You can even record it. So now you can have the actual recordings that you bought from the store, whether it's streaming, a CD, vinyl, cassette, and now you can have your own video. It's the experience that matters, right? Check off boxes. Stop worrying about what you're not getting and worry about what you have. Because like I stated, they outside. Successful tours. Good. You know what? I was at the go. I think I'm gonna go to that show too, man. I think I'm gonna step out on that one, man. Not a big fan of the Barclays Arena, but I'm gonna go up in that. I think I'm gonna go to that joint. If you're going to that concert, put yes in chat, man. I want to know. Because y'all was heavy at the Garden. I ran into mad people out there. That's what it's all about too, man. Think about how many individuals you've met through Nas music. Like some people right in the comment section when I was up in the garden, had the opportunity to meet them, shook their hand, yo, what's good, Ease? Appreciate what you're doing. That's what it's all about, man. One man that we don't know through his music brought us all together in an environment where there was no beefing, nobody was acting funny, the energy wasn't wrong. It felt like a family reunion, like a cookout. And you got to hear all the tunes that you wanted to hear. And we don't ever pay attention to stuff like that. We too busy talking about Nas and Primo. But who was able to make that happen? Nas and Hit Boy. This current run allowed all those fans from the 90s and the 2000s to have an opportunity to see him come to the Garden. It's balance, man. That's what it's all about. Oh, that's fire. Do a lot. Yeah, I like that. I like that. Nah, that's fire. I like that. That's it, man. At the end of the day, whether you arguing and going debating with people, just know that you're all trying to seek the same common ground. You're a fan of one individual. But Nas and Hit Boy's current success doesn't take away. Don't feel threatened and don't take away from what him and Primo did. We're not even ranking and doing Mount Rushmore when we're comparing their works. That's not what we're doing. We're just enjoying this current era. And it's fine. Don't get insecure about the situation. Those records are still there. Illmatic is not being wiped off the face of the earth. It's here. Nas is like it's going to be here. Come and get me is here. All that stuff is still here. Don't do that. It's cool. And there's no envy between those two either, because I'm pretty sure if Hit Boy felt some kind of way, Primo wouldn't have did the scratches on Wave Guards. They seem to have a pretty solid relationship. And we got fans who don't even know these individuals trying to cause like a divide and some separation, like this one better that. No, it's music, man. Just enjoy the moment. Enjoy the moment. Because although hip hop is young, Nas will be 50 in September, right? Stated before, Jay is over 50. They don't ever have to record again if they don't want to. And what you gonna do then? Listen to the old stuff, right? Comment. Oh, that's fire. See what I mean? I'm reading some of these comments with the connections, man. Like, think about how many people you met during that Nas. I know a lot of y'all did. Y'all met up. Y'all all went out to eat and stuff like that. Some people linked up after the show. And it was all love. I ran into people in the subway, just chatting it up, chopping it up with them. As I'm walking to the arena in my seat, that's what it's all about, man. That's what it's all about. They outside, man. They outside. So support your favorite artists, man. We've been up here for a minute. I'm about to get this day started. I appreciate all of y'all support, man. I want to make sure I got everybody's super chat. I don't want to leave anybody out. Comment section was jumping. Thank you for your support, man. Oh yeah, Dave, you in the New York area, tri-state area, make sure you stay cool, man. Drink water, stay hydrated, because it's blazing out there. It's your man Ease at the TheEezeExperience. Go get yours. Yeah.